Welcome to the Dixie Doggers podcast. We're here to share knowledge and heritage. We hope y'all enjoy. For the best cut gear in the business, get with Dave Williams at Southern Cross Cut Gear. www.hogdoggear.com.
If you're buying or selling land, farms, or hunting property, these folks know land. Phil Wilson with UC Hunting Properties, 678-791-3483.
777 Kennels, Advanced K9 Nutrition. Vertex K9 Essentials, Advanced K9 Nutrition, beneficial to all breeds. You can contact them at 979-206-3050. All right, everybody. Here we are back again one more time. Dixie Doggers podcast coming to you. 2026, whole new year. Ain't nothing new for us, really. It's just another day. This is what we do. Hey, we appreciate all y'all tuning in. This is Tales from the Holler with Mr. Raymond Plummer. And he's got a guest tonight with him as well. And so I'm going to kick back, hand it over to Mr. Plummer, and y'all get with it.
Yes, sir. Joey, Nathan, appreciate all you guys do. You're awesome. You're, spreading the word about dog hunting and hog hunting, and it's something people need to hear, desire to hear, and want to hear. I just appreciate what you guys do. A lot of work in it. A lot of people don't realize, the investment that you guys have in this,
Thank you.
The time that it takes, and the money and everything else. So thank you.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
I think you're both scholars and gentlemen. But anyway, folks, I tell you what, if you've listened to any of the Tales from the Holler, I do a little writing. Published quite a bit of it in Tuster's magazine with Mr. Ed Barnes, and you'd be plenty ahead to pick up a copy of that or subscribe to Tuster's. But I'm gonna read you another poem that I wrote tonight, and it's not long, but I hope you enjoy it. It's called Gravel Road Saint. Goes like this. He was a Christian kind of drifter, a pilgrim with a rambler soul, rolling down Ozark ridges where the Buffalo River flows. Hard working as a dawn-lit farmer, plowing life from stubborn dirt. But wild as a cowboy on a Mustang with an Indian sent for hurt. He knew poor men, he knew rich ones. Didn't matter none to him. Common sense was worth more than silver than a banker's polished grin. He ran hounds down gravel roads, leopard curs on autumn shine, hunting through Arkansas timber where the moon forgot to shine. Driving fast on back road switchbacks, old Dodge truck growling like a storm. Thunder rolled through Hurricane Creek while the moonshine kept his spirit warm. He carried tack and saddle leather, a lariat rope on tight. Horse sweat, dust, and Dixie wind were him that sang him home each night. And when his time on earth grows thin, like the last coals dying red, he'll ride toward heaven's sunrise on a mule the angels bred. A southern soul, a gravel road saint, a rambler bound to roam through Ozark creeks and dirt road dreams till the Lord calls him home. There you go, boys.
Yes, sir. Good stuff.
That was good.
Good. Very good.
Well, I enjoy writing them. I hope folks enjoy hearing them.
I like it. I like it.
Hey, listen, folks, I also wanted to let you know that Uncle Earl's this year is going to be from March 16th through the 22nd. If there's any way you can make it there, it'll be worth your time and investment to get there. Even if you're not a bay pen man, there's going to be lots of dog men there. Lots of dogs, lots of dog men. There'll be stories. There'll be truth. There'll be lies. But it'll be normal for anybody that shows up. So if y'all can make it, we'll see you there. If the good Lord allows.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, I tell you this, I'm gonna kick it over to Jeron McDonial a little bit, and folks, I'm gonna just tell you, Jeron McDonial and I have hunted together for the better part of 40 years, and Jeron McDonial and myself, now back in my younger days, Jeron probably still can, but we walked many a horse and a mule to a stop and blow. I mean, we used to travel, boys, through the woods, through those old Ozark mountains, and get and just get there. I mean, it was a sheer enjoyment, and we still do some, just not as often as we used to, as far as hunting together. But Jeron McDonial is probably the closest thing I've said for years. He's probably the closest thing that Arkansas has to a professional hog hunter. He is a dog man to his very soul, soul of his boots to the top of his head. He knows how to breed a working dog, a hard driving dog, and him and I have bred catahoulas back and forth for years. And the Plummer bloodline of dogs will forever carry a touch from Jeron McDonial, and his dog is from that. So, Jeron, there you are.
And boy, exactly what all you want me to talk about. I try to stay in this flat ground now. It's a little easier on us. But well, we got a hunt planned Saturday, and going to hit the old river bottom and hopefully get on some. There's a lot of report of them, a lot of pictures, and a lot of complaints, and that's what we try to work off of.
Now, folks, Jeron hunts the White River bottoms and the Black River bottoms over there from Batesville east to the Mississippi River Delta, or the levee over there. I had Jeron come over on a hunt one time, and we dropped off the mountain over on Compton Ridge, down toward Hemden Holler, and we dropped probably 1,000 feet in elevation and got down there to Hemden, and Jeron looked off that Hemden Holler, which, by the way, Hemden Holler is the tallest waterfall between Appalachia and the Rockies.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeron looked off of that waterfall, and he said, "My God," he said, "if this is the only place I had to hunt, I believe I'd quit."
Yeah, that was a tough day. That was probably 30 years ago. I was in my 20s. I had to jump off that thing into a tree to climb down there to get to the dogs, or run 5 miles to get to them the other way.
Mm-hmm.
But got to them that day, and we killed several hogs, and then it took half a day to round up dogs, because that was before all the fancy tracking unit stuff. But
well, when we hit that top of Hemden right there at the waterfall, we had split bayed. We had dogs in the bottom of that canyon, and then we had dogs on the mountain to the left bayed. We had dogs on the mountain to the right bayed, and so we was all over the place. But dogs was doing their jobs. We just had them on 3 different split bays. But
that was indeed a good day. The mules started out pretty nice, and horses, I never got to stay with one of them very long.
you can't jump a mule off a bluff.
Yeah. And was that not the same day that some guy called my beautiful Catahoula dog a blind blue tick or something? Is that?
Shit.
I had a beautiful blue leopard Catahoula dog. He was black on one side with a brown face, divided perfectly in the center, almost like a pup. I seen a picture of on Plummer's page the other day, but he was gray with a blue eye on one side and black with a brown eye on the other. And he was kind of, MIA at the time. And we rode up on these guys hiking, and this Raymond asked if they'd seen a dog, and they're like, "Yeah, we seen an old blind blue tick dog down there." Blind. I started to rock him. But I started to rock him a few times, but I just, hey, you got to be nice sometimes.
Yeah, you got to be nice.
Good memories and good times. So,
well, I tell you what, if you go way back, Lord, back in the 90s, Lord, I guess, I don't know, it might have been early 2000s, but no, it would have been the late 90s. Jeron was a sure enough young man at the time, but his daddy and him had foresight enough. They landed a couple of dogs that was the old dog patch breed. The dog patch bloodline was out of southern Mississippi, right there in the brackish water. And brother, the old man that owned them, not many people even know of the old dog patch line anymore, but the old guy that owned them was a geneticist, worked for the University of Southern Mississippi, and he said he genetically bred them dogs. Well, I believe he did, He called them his back of the pasture dogs. And and boys, they would. Now them old dog patch dogs were good dogs. Well, there was some folks out of southern Florida over there. Lewis. What was his first name, Jerome?
There was Ralph and Carol Lewis.
Ralph and Carol, that's right. Ralph and Carol Lewis. And they started.
They was Blue Frost kennels.
Yes, yeah. And they were across on the old line wager stuff and across on them old dog patch dogs. And I'm going to tell you right now, them old Blue Frost dogs, they was the real deal. They really was.
I posted a picture of the day of my old Azok dog. I got him off of Lewis. Lewis lived in Culpeper, Arkansas. He was right. The old Azok dog was raised by Philip Pfeiffer. They'd worked a bunch of cattle. You know, our friend Todd Trammell knows him real well. Todd's uncle and them used to catch cattle together back in the days. That they had those dog patch dogs and Blue Frost dogs, and they kind of had two lines of them. They kept one that they was a little bit more leaning towards the dog patch stuff, and one that they done more wager breedings on, but always took them back and forth to each other, kind of like Raymond and I have done with our dogs since. Well, I'd have to look back early '90s actually, because a lot of them dogs is 80 models. You know, like on that Azok dog, a lot of his family was 86, and it don't seem like it now. His grandparents, but that's 40 years ago. You know.
Well, see, they didn't start registering dogs at the NALC till '79, wasn't it?
So I believe it's 77. Yeah, because that would have made me about 4 years old.
Right. Well, you know, and folks, if you can kind of imagine that, you know, a boy that was raised up since the time he was 4 years old, or you know, with good-blooded catahoula dogs, he didn't have a chance.
Honestly, I wish I'd have known. My dad got his hands on a beautiful brittle gyp and a beautiful blue leopard gyp, and they both come out of South Mississippi too. And they didn't have any paperwork, but to look back at them now, I mean, they had to have some of that. Well, I don't say they had to have had it, but they was beautiful, long-legged, you know, big-chested, square-headed dogs like all the dog patch dogs that I put my hands on in the late '80s, early '90s. They was built just like them, and they come from the same part of the world. But like I said, we didn't have no proof of paperwork. But my dad didn't really care about stuff anyway. We had tree dogs and bird dogs, and that's what we did. If they hunted, they got used, and if they didn't, they didn't. You know.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Quick thanks to the supporters of the Dixie Doggers podcast.
Light Hounds,
Southern Cross Cut Gear,
Phil Wilson with UC Hunting Properties,
Rankin Ranch 38 Cattle Company,
777 Kennels Advanced Canine Nutrition,
and the old Boars N Broads.
Well, now, Jerome, go ahead and tell the whole story. If they didn't, they sure enough didn't, because they didn't breathe after that.
Yeah.
You know.
I gotta be careful what we admit.
Well, hey, brother, look here. I didn't say a thing other than they quit breathing. Ain't no reading, you know, ain't no telling how they quit breathing, but they.
Yeah, I mean, you know, my old man always said it costs just as much to feed that one that won't go as it does to feed the one that's going.
Mm-hmm.
Don't waste your time with the one that's not.
That's
you know, it's
right.
I've got, well, not counting my son's dogs, I've got 20 heads standing here now, and I would put any of them out there Saturday morning. You know.
Yes, sir.
Youngest dog I have right now is 10 months old, and you know she's already started working well and really working with the other dogs well. So
now, Joey,
yes, sir.
Joey, where did you reside come from up there in Northeast? Wasn't it DeWitt or somewhere around
Brinkley and Wheatley.
Brinkley.
Yeah.
Okay, Brinkley and Wheatley. Okay.
Yeah, I
So
originally
you live in North.
I went to school there for a little while, and then I moved to Helena and West Helena down there in Phillips County.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's that. We used to do a bunch of guard time over there that part of the world. And well, matter of fact, stayed the night over a few times in that armory at the I believe that was West Helena.
Yes, sir.
And then used to do a little river fishing over in that part of the world. Yeah, I get very familiar with that part of the country.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I used to box right there at the armory. Well, it was a little building beside the armory. They let us come in there and they had a mat set up. Claude Lee and them. He used to be our boxing instructor, and I don't know if he was really that good of an instructor, but he could beat your ass real quick though. He kept us teenage boys in line.
Right.
He was 60 years old, and I've yet to find anybody that could hit me faster than he could.
Hey, brother, now that's telling when your boxing coach is training you by beating your ass.
Hey, listen, that's exactly what he said. He said, you know what? Now we was rough. We was rough. I was raised right there in the same place y'all was. You know how it goes. And
oh yeah.
So one of the reasons that I wound up boxing, I was in middle school and always fist fighting and carrying on. They said, well, look, we got a cure for this. And by God, they cured it. They cured a good part of that.
Now, Joey, you kind of tell my story there a little bit. We used to box at the National Guard Armory down there at Sheridan. And the sheriff's wife used to come watch me box, and she always said, I love to watch you box, Plummer. And I said, well, ma'am, why is that? She said, because you always got a smile on your face.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, ma'am, I ain't mad at them folks. It's just a competition.
That's right. We're just having fun.
We're just in there having fun,
There's probably a bunch of my boys that love to wipe the smile off his face, though, just saying.
hey, brother. There was a black boy over at Hot Springs. I hit him one time, knocked the mouthpiece out of his mouth, flew plumb out of the ring, and he went to crying, and the coach was telling me, get him, Plummer. I said, I can't hit a man that's crying.
Oh, my goodness.
That goes a lot of way into training dogs, too, versus training people. I mean, you like to build their confidence up, but you got to humble them back once in a while.
That's exactly right.
Oh, now, Jeron, you playing into something I want to talk about a little bit. And now, we will get into what you're doing right now, but I would like to finish up a little bit on them old line catahoulas dogs we had. But, one of the things that I get, my phone don't ever stop ringing, guys. I mean, it's every day. I got a God bless good wife. Okay, she's a good one, ain't no doubt. Been married 38 years, and I'm telling you guys, my phone it's off the hook, Betty ringing. And what I've got a lot of lately. Well, a couple of different lines that I'd like to talk about today, but one of them is socializing your dog. Because folks, these high drive catahoula dogs, and I'm not telling you we're raising killers, because we're not. We're not in the dog fight business. Matter of fact, my dogs know fighting's against the rules. And if they want to try it, they're gonna have to try me. And they don't want to do that. Okay. So we kind of keep it all under wraps there. But folks that don't understand how to socialize their dog can absolutely run into trouble. Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all a little story, and it's really kind of on me a little bit, but there's a fella down there in South Texas. He's got Heritage Kennel, and guess what? He raises Plummer bred catahoula dogs, and he's got some dandies down there. I mean, he's hitting the brush with them every night and every day. That and I don't mean missing it a little. The boys in the woods all the time. All right. Well, that's what makes dogs, guys, opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got genetically good bred alpha superior catahoula dog and you offer him opportunity, he's going to take it. And I tell people all the time, if you don't give one of my dogs a job, he's going to find one, and typically the one he finds is the wrong one. So you better get him, you better find him a job. Well, I sent a bitch, and at this very present moment, I still own her. And I call her Ruby, and she's a big red leopard bitch, stout, made, boy, stout, son, she's stout. All right, and I love her to pieces, but she don't just love everybody, okay? And he was hunting her, and now I'm gonna tell him just, and I talked to him just for this podcast to make sure it's okay to tell this. I didn't want to get him in trouble, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But you boys are gonna find this rather humorous, okay? He went on a circle hog hunting on some public land that may or may not have been legal to hunt on with dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And as he's coming back to the truck, he's got my Ruby bitch. Now he done made friends with her. Okay. So he can handle her and tolerate her. She can tolerate him. All right. But now, boys, I ain't kidding you. She's a big old stout gal. She ain't no play. All right. And as they come back to his truck, he said, old Rude stopped 30, 35 yards ahead of that truck and just bird dog stopped pointing the truck. And her whole head wrinkled up in the teeth, and she was just guttural growling. And he couldn't figure out what in the world. What? He thought she was looking at his truck. And he said, Ruby, what's going on, girl? And she's just heaving, growling, looking at what he thought, looking at the truck. So he says, get her, girl. Oh, my God, boys. She flew in there, and there was 2 round rolls of hay right up there close to his truck, and there was 2 game wardens squatted behind them rolls of hay. That bitch run in there and bit one of them game wardens right in the straddle and locked on like a son.
Oh, Lord.
He said that game warden was screaming like a panther, beating her in the head, trying to get her turning loose, and she wasn't turning loose. And he flew in there and got her off it. All right. Well, now, boys, I ain't saying nothing about the man's manhood. I ain't, not at all. But she got him about a quarter inch below his business, and we'll just leave it at that. Okay.
Lord,
on the inner side. All right. And son, it wasn't no play. She bit the whoo out of him. Okay.
Yeah. Bit the whoo out of him.
When he kind of composed himself a little bit, he said, sir, I'm going to have to write you a ticket and I'm hoping the game wardens don't listen to the Dixie Dogger podcast. But he said, I'm going to have to write you a ticket for hunting in this area, hog hunting with dogs. Well, the boy's pretty quick-witted, and he said, no, sir. He said, we ain't a hog hunting. And he said, well, I know you are. He said, you got Catahoula dogs, and you got them cut collars on them. You're hog hunting. And he said, no, sir. He said, you see a pit bull here? Of course, now, boys, hey, listen, you got my dogs. You don't need a pit bull, okay? And so he says, do you see a bulldog here? And the game warden tells him, well, no, as a matter of fact, I don't. He said, how in the world are we going to catch a hog without a bulldog? He said, we've been antler shed hunting. He said, well, how do you explain them cut collars? He said, well, Lord, there's hogs all in here, man. I don't need to get my dogs cut up. He said, we're antler shed hunting. Well, the guy says, look, man, all right. He kind of let that slide. I guess he swallowed that. And he says, well, I'm still going to have to bring that dog in and get her checked, write you a ticket and all this, because she ain't got got to have rabies. And he had the forethought. He had put one of his collars on Ruby that had a rabies tag. Mm-hmm. And he said, no, sir. Said, she got a rabies tag right here. He got away with that, boys. Really? That dog bit the game warden, right in the straddle, and he got away clean. I'm telling you, she ought to be up for Dog of the Year.
I was just fixing to ask if she was for sale anyway.
Yeah. Sniffy mouth.
Hey, boys, when you got the dog, get a bird dog report the game warden for you, you got a leg up on everybody else.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
These old catahoula dogs are known for that. So I was just a kid, but my sister's 8 years older than I am, and a couple of her girlfriends and a couple of their guy friends come to sneak her out of the house one night, and they should have just come knocked on the door, but trying to sneak around and knock on her window. And my dad looked out there on a little bit of snow in a moonlight night and thought the old boy was holding a gas can instead of a box of Coors Light beer. And he lit him up with a sawed-off shotgun, and the other 3 got dog bit trying to get through the garden fence.
Damn.
Funny thing was, my sister never woke up through all the shotgun blasting and screaming.
Oh man!
Long story short, just come knock on the country people's door. You got to be careful sneaking around in the dark.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeron, hey, in my house, my old daddy, he was Neanderthal big, freaking nature strong. I can tell you stories on honest God, an old man wouldn't believe, but I lived through it and seen it. But now I'm gonna tell you right now, you could walk in our house at any time during the day or night, as long as you acted like you belonged there. But better not come sneaking. If you come sneaking around, you oh brother,
yeah,
your best hope is that's not a very good shot.
Well, that's one thing I say about Catahoula dogs. I mean, if it's your home, it's their home. You're not going to pull off that sneaking around in the dark or even in the daylight, really.
No.
Well, Jeron, I tell people all the time that these dogs of mine will marry you. They'll marry your family. They'll marry you.
Yeah.
And that leads into what I was going to talk about socializing your dog. I got a guy right now that he called me, and matter of fact, he just posted on the Plummer's Catahoulas Facebook group, put his pup on there, and he's an ACA cowboy, and he's going for Rookie of the Year this year. Okay, his name's Jeremy Davis. All right,
Jeremy boy?
Jeremy Davis, yeah.
Yeah.
And he said that his little pup, he said, he'll he sticks to him pretty close, and he ain't never growled at nobody, but he'll raise that hair, when somebody gets too close and around. No, actually that was another fella, but same dog, 6 months old. But anyway, you want to break that quick. If you want your dog to be protection minded, by all means, keep him away from folks. And guess what you're going to have? I tell people all the time, do not take one of my dogs and put them in a privacy fenced backyard and wait till they're 2.5 and decide to have a barbecue party, because it ain't going to go very well. So if you want your dog where you can blood trail with him or hog hunt with other people or work cattle and not have to worry about that kind of stuff, you start socializing that dog early. And I tell them, I said, look, get your wife to take them to Target, or Walmart, and put them in the buggy, because women and kids will see those dogs, and they're they're different colored, and they're going to say, oh my God, what kind of dog is that? And here they come, and they're going to lay hands on that dog. And I said, you let them. And I said, really, if you want him, socialized around folks, and this sounds urban, it really does. But if you can find a kid's playground park after school, there ain't nothing more erratic than a child, except for maybe a kid. Okay, I mean, they fall down, they move, they run, they're darting here and there, they're laughing, they're crying, they're on the ground, they're up in the monkey bars, they're doing all kinds of stuff, and it can, man, the sensation of that dog just goes through the roof. Okay, and if he can get to where he can tolerate that, you're golden. You're gonna be good. But you want to get those dogs around other people, and you want to let people get their hands on them, and then that'll stop a lot of this. Some in the NALC, they'll tell you, and they're right about this. They'll tell you that not everybody needs a Catahoula dog. Well, that's a natural fact. That's just like a pit bull dog. Now, boys, I mean, y'all know this. I think I've said it on other podcasts, but way back in the 80s, I've always had Catahoula dogs. And God bless my wife. When she married me, I had Catahoula dogs, and I had 55 head of game bred bulldogs. And you don't have a bulldog unless you got a need for it, because you got to handle him like a loaded gun, And so a lot of people, I see them every day. Of course, a lot of them are cold bulldogs anymore, but they're, and I'm gonna say something probably bad here, but these
say cold, you shouldn't say cold and cold at the same time, Raymond.
What's that?
You shouldn't say cold and cold at the same time.
Well, they get these bulldogs or bulldog breeding dogs, whatever you want to call them nowadays, and that pants sagging to their below the crack of their butt, walking the bulldog down the street. They need that thing like they need a sore toe.
That's exactly right.
Well, they need a bully. They need a bully. What they need one of them 80-pound dogs with 5-inch legs. They need a bully dog.
Yeah.
But that's where Plummer and I have a little bit of different deal on the dog stuff. I don't like to socialize my dogs like that. Because I believe if you pet them and pamper them too much, they're going to want to hang around you, and want to hang around everybody else. And plus, in my part of the world, if you got a good one, you better be careful, or someone will be trying to nitpick him while you're out somewhere.
Well, Jerome,
I have. Well, I mean, I run about 2 miles one morning in a pair of hip waders, and come out of the river bottoms up on a little piece of foothills there, and some old boys was chasing a little old chocolate jip of mine, trying to catch her on some buggies. And I'll tell you what that little jip was out of. She was out of my little old Firefly dog and an old blue boy. So that tells you this has been.
Woo! Son,
been about 20 years ago.
Break right here. Let me explain what Jerome's talking about right there. And Joey, sorry, present company, included. Those were the two best registered Catahoula dogs, male and female, in the state of Arkansas. And that's a natural fact. That blue boy dog and that Firefly jip, and she was a close cousin to the blue boy dog.
Well, she was
the best registered Catahoula bitch in the state of Arkansas, and I'd lay money on that to anybody.
Well, Miss Firefly was out of La Boots. La Boots was out of my old Red Boy dog, which Red Boy was a litter mate to Red Girl, which was Blue Boy's litter mate sister. And on her top side, she was out of Azok, and that Azok dog went back to Wager's T. John. He went back to the Dog Patch dogs. They was a pair of good ones, but she was trying to run from them, and they was trying to cut her off, and the wind was blowing, they couldn't hear me. So I was nice enough to throw a couple warning shots across that wheat field to let them know I was coming to get her, and they all left, and I called my dog to me, and we went back to hunting. But I did lose a really good red leopard dog on the Mississippi River bottom. To some dog thieves. And that's because he was way too friendly.
Well, Jerome, I'm talking about socialization is for the public that is out here, working for the public, blood trailing with their dogs.
Oh, I understand 120%. But I understand 120% what you're talking about. Especially if you're providing a service for the public like that, you got to have them, because like old Rip, a baby boy out of Blue Fly, once he recovers the deer, and I think he found 17 head this year, once he finds the deer, they have to go in and leash him up before the hunter ever gets on.
I'll tell you, I tell you a tale, and you know this little old Yip. Matter of fact, you liked her a lot. She was a belly litter mate to Bounce, Duke, Tough, and that bunch. Bear, the old Miss Audrey Yip I had. Well, I was hunting up in the piney wilderness one time, and I gathered all my dogs but two, and that was Miss Audrey and a big old gangrene-year-old pup I called Joe. All right, and I had to run, and it was 10 miles back to the house, and there was some, couldn't wait emergency going on. Now, boys, hey, listen, folks will steal your dog. Okay, you got to be careful. All right, so man, I just drawed me up, man. I couldn't hardly stand the thought of having left them up there, but I had to run home real quick and then run back. Well, when I got to the house, an old boy that hunted with me a lot, I mean, he hunted with me a lot. He comes driving up, and he said, Plummer, what's going on? I said, I can't talk. I got to go. I got to go back up to Piney Wilderness. I got a couple dogs to gather up. He's what? He said, just jump in. We'll take my truck and go for and get him. I said, all right. So I jumped in his truck. We headed up there. All right. We come up on top of a mountain there, and my Audrey bitch was coming down the left side of that gravel road, and my Joe dog was on the right. Well, he just stopped the truck right there at him. Now, she didn't see me. I was in that truck, and that was not my truck, okay? I jumped out on passenger side and grabbed the Joe dog. He jumps out the driver's side, and all I hear is, rah, 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 and slam, boy. Back, he slammed the door, boy, back in there he comes. He looked at me, and he said, by God, I don't think nobody could steal that bitch. I got out, walked around her, and said, Audrey. And when I did, she just broke into a bowl of Jell-O, just wiggling, She just, she knew that guy, but it wasn't me, and she wasn't going nowhere with him,
Yeah, if I could turn back time, if I could turn back time, I'd have owned her. She was like a really like light gray or silver leopard with black spots and no trim on her. She was not only was she fancy, but she was a gamer.
Oh God, yes.
Oh my Lord! But that Miss Sunshine dog that I got from you, that was out of Dottie, Rambo, and Tiger. She was the same way. I lost her one day, and before all the fancy track unit stuff, and a guy called me. He says, I've got her over here by my rice well, but I can read her collar, but I can't put my hands on her, to pick her up. And my son at the time was maybe 4 or 5. And him and my mom went over there to get her. And as soon as my boy got out of the truck, well, she just climbed right up in his lap, and they just got back in the truck together in the front seat. And that guy was just in disbelief. He's like, "Oh, she tried to eat me up," but she and my mom said, "Well, just if you think she's mean, you don't want to see the rest of them." But
we was talking about that Audrey bitch, and she was a litter mate to old Bounce and Duke, and they were
tough.
Oh, it's tough. Yeah, the old tough dog. Hey, rock star legend. I'm telling you, them old dogs. They don't, people nowadays don't know really what them old dogs was. I mean, what they're dealing with nowadays a lot of times, and I ain't beating anybody's dogs up, but I'm just gonna tell you, God didn't make too many of them. Okay.
Old Tough had a leg amputated from a car accident when he was a pup, and Old Tough would find more pigs on 3 legs than most of the dogs today would on all 4.
And it was his front leg.
Damn.
And he climbed mountains and swam rivers with the front leg missing. And brother, he might not be the first dog there, but when he got there, it was a called hole.
There you go.
Well, another picture I believe I shared on there. I didn't have any pictures of Jade, but that Vegas dog I shared a picture of on your page, that was a tough grandson, and tricolored dog with brown eyebrows, brown trim, blue eyes, and just a bad man. That bloodline of dogs, I'll always say, old Shadow, Bounce, Duke, Buddy. The old boy Compton had the Buddy dog.
Hey, the old Savage Sam dog.
The Savage Sam. Man, I'll tell you what, that was a different group right there. And I believe you said they were a Texas bloodline. What'd you?
Well, no, actually, where I started the old bouncing tough Duke, bear bloodline dog was a bitch I got out of Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
And my God, wow. Hey, Jerome, tell them about you and old bouncing Duke.
Yeah, well, I had a couple of young dogs on this trip, and we killed a hog, and he was in. It took us a while to get there, and this is the days back when Mr. Jarhead Marine Raymond Plummer was in good shape, and me too. But even after we got there, old Bouncing Duke had this boar hog killed, and my two young male dogs, old Levi and Roe, they were just kind of hanging back, like wagging their tails and looking like these guys are. Well, they had basically chewed that boar hog's front flank so bad that he had bled to death. He was alive, but barely. And they just wouldn't leave him. And Raymond put him on a leash and was saying, hold these dogs, and I had both of them on leash. And I mean, these are big old stout dudes, and I mean, I weigh 170 pounds soaking wet. And if I hadn't wrapped a lead or two around a tree, they'd have just drugged me to the bottom of the hill at 62 mile an hour. He was trying to get everybody off the pig and get to moving on, and I was supposed to hold these two dogs back, and I mean they pulled me around like I was
Hey, we got it. What happened there was we got another hog bait, and them two dogs, that Bouncing Duke dog. Now they were both yellow, and now boys, I mean yellow, like a yellow crayon, not like some buckskin yellow black mouth dog.
And no trim on them either. They didn't have no trim whatsoever.
And one of them had a glass eye on the left, and the other had a glass eye on the right, and that's about the only way you can tell the difference in them. All right, and so I told Jerome, hold them dogs, and he said, I believe I'm gonna. He'd love to see them kill crap. Now I heard it. I tried to stay off this foo-foo catahoula side, okay, where everybody's putting their dogs in costumes and in the couch and all that. I just can't hardly tolerate that. I try to stay away from that. But somebody on the Oklahoma hog dog site said today, something about would a Dogo Argentino, work for a kill dog. Oh my God, really?
I've seen that. That.
All right. Well, there was a Hispanic gentleman that said, he said, I've never seen a dog kill a hog anyway. What? And oh God, boys, it was all my fingers could do not to respond to that text. I hate to start, to answer some kind of stupid, statement that these people make.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this Bouncing Duke dog, they kill big boar hogs on the regular. I mean, and I don't mean small ones. I mean big boar hogs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a guy responding to that and said he had a pair of catahoulas dogs. If you'd have read on down there was a guy responding. He said he had a pair of catahoulas jips that would eat their front legs off until they cut all them arteries and would bleed them out, even a big boar hog, and that's why he got rid of them.
Mm.
If you go back to that post, it's on there. Because, I'm kind of like you. I mean, I wanted so much, but I mean, there's enough people hate me already, so I just try not to get up.
Hey, boys, Jeron McDonial is he's my buddy. Now I'm just gonna tell you, he's got my back when ain't nobody else does. And I won't get off into what some of the things that he's done for me that where I'm trying to be reserved, and Jerome just drives on through it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, old Raymond got himself in a spot one time back when he was used to trying to be the law, and he made some old boys mad, but they was criminals. But I babysitted a whole pack of dogs for Raymond until that blew over, because I'm going to tell you what, if someone would hurt them dogs, it'd been like someone hurt one of Raymond's children.
That's right.
They made some pretty bad threats towards them dogs and a bunch of other stuff they's going to do to him. And I said, you handle you and your family, and you bring them guys to me. And he offered money, he offered everything in the world. I said, no, sir. Matter of fact, old Blue Boy was in on that group. Old Tiger. He had a little cow named Little Black Jip with brindle trim, Allie. A little Allie dog.
Hey, boys, on that bouncing Duke dog, and I'll leave that alone. Jeron had him on a 2-dog snap lead, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he started down the mountain over on the Buffalo. And he wanted to see him get in on another hog bait, and we had the hog bait down there at the bottom, all right? And he said, what about them two? You know, of course, he's pretty excited about them. And I said, no, sir, I ain't fighting them dogs down at the bottom. We already got a hog bait. Let's see them. I said, you want to take them, you get them. Well, he put a double snap dog lead on them, and he told me when he got to the bottom, he said, my God, he said, I seen my life flash before my eyes 2 or 3 times on the way down that mountain.
Well, I'll just put it this way. I like Rocky boots, but I'm going to tell you something. If you don't think the lugs won't tear off them Rocky boots going down them sharp rocks, you're wrong.
Yeah, he's giving it hell, wouldn't he?
Oh man, they rubbed the knobs off them Rocky boots going down that mountain that morning.
My goodness.
Well, Lord. You know that kind of leads. Oh, brother, hey, let me speak to that right there. That's one of the things I was going to say tonight. You know, people don't understand what kind of high drive we're dealing. Okay, Now they think they got a high drive dog. Matter of fact,
yeah,
I've got a buddy that had a kennel full of these Belgian Malinois. And when he first met me, he thought those Belgian Malinois were high drive.
Yeah.
Well, you can get online and see them run up walls and hang off trees way up high and do all kinds of feats of, freak of nature feats. Well, I got news for you. My dogs can do that too. All right. Well, he got to getting some Plummer Catahoula dogs down there. And guess what? He got one. Now, he had a kennel full of Malinois. Now he got one. He said, Mr. Plummer, he said, them Malinois don't have the bottom that them Catahoula dogs do. He said, my God. He said, they'll go for a while, but they give out. He said, them dogs I got from you ain't got no quit. And and I had a guy, and I ain't calling names, and boys, I ain't calling bloodlines, because, hey, I'm going to just tell you there's other people out there raising good dogs. And I'm thrilled about it. Old Mike Lee, he's a dog man. I think a lot of Mike and all that him and Phyllis is doing, they're raising some good dogs. Old JT Strong's got some good dogs. There's a lot of them out there, okay? Well, I say a lot. They ain't a lot, but there's a few, okay? And I appreciate everybody that's out there trying to, bring these Catahoula dogs back to where they used to be and should be, okay? But I sold a boy. He has he's got a dog, a registered Catahoula dog, and he's a 6-year-old dog. All right. Well, he tells me he's a finished dog. Well, Joey, Nathan, y'all are dog man. Anybody's got a 6-year-old dog, if they're working him, by all means, he ought to be finished. For sure. If you give him enough opportunity, he ought to be finished. Well, this old boy bought a young Jip from a pup, and he's raising her up, and he's going butt trail with it. All right. And he's going to pair her up with this other dog, his finished dog that he got. Well, she wasn't even a year old. And he calls me, and he says, Mr. Plummer, he said, there ain't a dog on planet Earth that can track with that Jip I got for you. And I said, oh, yeah, there he is. And he said, no, sir, I don't believe it. And he showed me his garment. He said, we run a track up that. Now, boys, don't nail me down on this. It was either 12 or 1,400 yards, whatever it was. And he said, when we turned them loose together, he said, that Jip I got from you ran with her head in the air like a stinking greyhound and run in there, and we'll call it 1,400 yards, and she had the buck. He said, my finished dog wasn't but 600 yards on that track. She better than half track it. And I said, boys, that's what we do. That's what we do. And people don't realize that. They don't understand. Matter of fact, I've sold pups before, old litters, that I had to talk everybody in that bought a pup in that litter off the ledge with them pups 2 or 3 times before they ever got them drawn. You know, to tell them, you know, what to do, how to handle them, that kind of thing. You know, because what they think is high drive is maybe it is. I'm not saying it's not, but it's not to the level that some of these dogs can attain.
Well, I mean, I got a little intervention on that deal. You talking about the drive on the dog? A lot of people will say, you know, the staying power, because they think cur dog's going to drop out of a race. Well, going back to that old Joe dog, and Raymond might not want to admit this, but at the time we was hunting back the day, he had an old plot hound named Bill.
Arkansas Thunder Bill.
Yeah. Old Bill was a sports son, and that Joe dog was a pup. That Joe dog, easy now, Cook. That Joe dog was a puppy, and while we was hog hunting one day, Joe and Bill run a deer for about 7 hours, and I was basically telling Raymond, I said, back in 1996 when we were slaughtering 16 to 18 head of deer a day with this pack of half Catahoula and Catahoula dogs that I had, that Joe dog sure would have come in handy. And
hey, boys, hey.
I'm gonna tell you, he did finally get the deer run out of him, because we didn't whoop him for it, or we didn't have shock hits back in them days. Which that goes to me. I never shock a dog. If he ain't gonna grow out of it, or if I can't like whip him with a switch or whatever, and let him, if I'm disappointed in him. Those people that burn dogs' heads off with shock collars, they're not dog men. They lack a training method. But that's my opinion.
I agree with your opinion very strongly. I have talked with a lot of people my age and younger, and they don't seem to believe that it'll clean out. You know, it'll clean itself up. If
it will.
You put them what you want them to run, put them in sign, and that's what they'll run. And you'll have off game, but to a dog, it's all game. They're just doing what they're bred to do. You just got to kind of line them out toward what you want them to do.
Well, there's no doubt.
Shock system, I don't like it shocking like that.
It's like my bay pen here, man. And I got a 6-acre pen and a 2-acre pen and a bay pen. And I work these young dogs up, Catahoula dogs and speed dogs. I bring them up, and when they leave my pen system, they go on a big walk through the 4-wheeler trails, and we walk the open timber. Now, they may hot race a deer, but they all come back, and I run them in the hog pen and bang them on a pig and let them catch a pig and get them off and take them back to the house. Mm-hmm. So even if they did run a deer that day, they got to catch a pig.
Yeah.
And you always want to end on a good result.
Yes, sir.
And everything about training the dog is repetition. I mean, absolutely. I'm a spring gobbler turkey hunter, and if you call the same old gobbler in 3 times and booger him or miss him, guess what? He's not going to come to hen calls anymore, because you just conditioned him to be to call smart. Well, the same thing in the dog world. You have to condition that dog with repetitions, and that's what makes the dog. I don't whoop them for chasing deer. And my son and I is real bad about dumping 6-7 head of dogs and going to the woods at the nighttime. And it don't matter if it's a skunk, possum, raccoon, armadillo goes in a hole in the ground. We're liable to carry a 22 and a sharpshooter shovel. Mm-hmm. We're training young dogs to track game and murder stuff. Yeah. And like you said, they'll all come around after a few hunts, and they figure out that the hog hunting is what we're doing.
Absolutely.
And they can catch them instead of chasing deer all day, and that's where they'll be at. Now, some of them may be 2-year-olds, 2.5-year-old even. But guess what? By the time that dog's 5, if he's still alive, he's going to be one of the best hog dogs you ever own in your life.
Yes, sir.
Well, what I tell people is this, guys. You cannot, if you're raising a hunting dog track, and I don't care if it's a black and tan hound or a Catahoula dog or, whatever. I don't care what kind of dog it is. And he tracks off game, and you give him a negative response for doing what he is instinctively bred to do, then you are damaging his future about his tracking ability because you're giving him a negative response. I don't care. I start my puppies, and Jerome knows this. I don't care. I start them at 4 weeks old tracking meat. But if they track a field mouse or a pack rat or a cottontail rabbit and I see them doing it, I'm in there high-eyeing them, helping them. Yeah. Because the same skill set that it takes to run that cottontail or run an armadillo or a possum or a coon or a fox or a cow or whatever varmint it is, the same skill set it takes that dog to do that is what's going to be needed and necessary to run these hogs and bait these hogs. Okay? Yes, now, you was talking about the shocking collars a while ago, and I'm going to mention the bouncing Duke dog one more time, boys. I got a pretty good little tale about that. I sold that bounce dog as a puppy, okay? And he was yellow. Now, boys, he's yellow as sunshine. And now he is, like, Jerome, what do you call him? A genetically superior, or what do you call him?
Genetically dominant predators.
Oh, right, okay. Well, that's what old Mouse was. Okay? He was bred. Well, matter of fact, out of the litter. Now, folks out there in radio land, I'm not trying to scare you off my dogs, but I am going to tell you they're exceptional in a lot of ways. All right, and so when they were puppies, I mean, they were 4-week-old puppies. The bounce pup and the one that Jerome was mentioned earlier called Tough got in the dog fight. Well, they're puppies, okay? And they're fighting. Well, my daughter, and Jerome knows her, she's tougher than most men. And now she was probably 14 at the time, and she's sitting there on the front porch, and them pups got to fight. Well, she started off laughing until they got bloody. And then they was covered in blood and froth, and they ain't quitting. And she's trying to get them apart, and she can't. Well, then she kind of broke into tears, come in and told me, she said, David, you got to do something. They're going to kill each other. So I go out there, and sure enough, boys, if we had left them alone, one would have killed the other at 4 weeks old. All right. Well, I grabbed one of them, she grabbed one, and we held them until they finally went to regrip. We pulled them apart. Well, I'm holding one at him, and he's a growling looking at that other, and she's holding one. She's holding the tough pup, and I'm holding Bounce. All right. And the reason I named him Bounce, guys, is because, and it's going to sound bad as too. God, it's going to sound bad. But you could hit that dog and hit with your fist harder than you wanted to and knock him to the ground, and he'd bounce back like he had a spring in his butt and hit me against that. I mean, you couldn't hurt him. So I called him Bounce because he's like he had a spring in his butt. Anyway, I took them 2 pups, and we petted them a little bit, put them back down, bam, they hit each other again. I said, all right, look here. It's going to take a minute for them to forget. I said, so you stay here. I'll take and we had a big house over on the lake. Jerome knows where it was. I walked around back with that bounce pup, and I petted him, calmed him down. I waited about 5 minutes, and I didn't bring him back around front. I set him on the ground behind the house. That little booger marched himself right back around the house, parted that litter of puppies, and found that tough dog, and bam, it was on again. Well, so I called the old boy that had picked old Tough out of the litter. And I said, if you want this pup, better get over here and get him. I said, or him or this yellow pup, one or another's going to kill one another. One of them's going to die. I said, so you need to come get him. He said he ain't 4 weeks old. I said, he's eating dog feed. He'll be fine. Yeah. And he's coming back Tough at 4 weeks old. All right. Well, I sent Bounce to a man named Ronnie McCullough. And Ronnie McCullough is a coon dog man. He hunted beagles and coon dogs his whole life. He's a dog guy. He is. He just wasn't a Catahoula dog guy. Okay. So, but he had border collies working his cattle, and he had a pretty big ranch over there. And Ronnie's good. He's good apple. He really is. All right. And he told me, he said, Plummer, I believe I'd like to try a pair of them Catahoula dogs. So he bought 2 from them. But he bought the bear dog, which was a seal colored dog, and he bought Tough. Now, guys, y'all ain't gonna believe this. Half of the world ain't gonna believe it that hears it. But if you ever seen that movie, The Shooter, with Mark Wahlberg,
Which one?
That movie called Shooter, The Shooter.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, where the old man, grabs Mark Wahlberg's hands and he's feeling his hands, see if he's got calluses from shooting his gun, and then he talks about the Kennedy assassination. And he says something about, I still got the shovel. Well, Ronnie made that statement when he called me. Bounce was between 3 and 4 months old. And Ronnie calls me and he said, Plummer, you're going to have to come get this yellow pup or I'm going to kill him. And I said, Ronnie, what's wrong? He said, brother, I ain't never seen a dog like this before in my life. And he said, be honest with you, he scares me. And I said, what do you mean? He's a 3-month-old pup. How is he scary? He said, well, Plummer, he said, he's got a pretty good sized ranch here, but his log house sits, a couple hundred yards from the fence line where there's another house. Well, that other house over there had a lab. Okay. He said that lab been coming over and pushing them 2 pups out of that feed ever since I got them. And he said, old bear would kind of hump up and growl and walk off and let that lab have it. He said, but that lab had to whoop that yellow pup out of that feed every day. He wouldn't quit. He said, and I don't expect everybody to believe it, but I saw it.
Uh-oh, we lose connection.
Oh, check and see.
We may have lost him.
I don't know.
We may have lost him. He'll be back in a second.
Yeah, he'll call right back in just a second. He probably hit the mute button.
Well, that or he was complaining about his phone here the other day too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
He told me, he's like, it might
I'll
randomly cut off.
I'll tell you guys that tough dog. I'll just talk about that tough dog.
Yeah,
a little
that's
bit.
fine. Go ahead in there.
We talking about going back. If I
Kicked off on him too.
Okay.
All right, yeah. So
We'll track them both down.
we'll get them back to going.
An hour in. It's pretty easy to remember.
Let's see if it'll.
Your call has been forwarded.
He might be trying to call me. We'll give it a minute, because if his phone ain't going to work, then drones ain't going to work, and they can.
Okay, got everybody again?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, kind of on the cowboy way when old Woody Harrelson picked up after 24 hours. It's the same exact word from the sentence he quit 24 hours ago when Kiefer Sutherland told him to shut up. Well, here I am.
There you
All
go.
So, anyway, Ronnie McCullough told me, he said, Plummer, I don't expect anybody to believe it. He said, but that bounce dog killed that lab. And he said, and he's just a pup. He said, Plummer, I've got a boy, and I'm worried. He said, because that boy takes a stick to them pups, and he said, I know he's wrong for doing it, but he said he'll whoop them pups, and he said that bear dog, he'll kind of lead. He said, but that yellow dog, he don't take a whooping very good. And he said, so if you don't mind, come get him, or I'm gonna shoot. I said, I'll be over and get him. Well, I went and got him. Well, I had saved the pup out of that litter that I called Duke, which was a yellow dog as well. All right. Well, when I brought Bounce home, Duke didn't appreciate it at all. And them two decided they was going to kill each other. That was their purpose in life.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the Bounce dog was just a level above Duke, and Duke couldn't handle him. All right. Well, boys, I had an old Tritronics, and back to that shocking unit deal. I don't shock dogs either, hardly. Matter of fact, don't own a shocking. But back then, I had a 10-mile trash break from Tritronics. And now, boys, I do believe they're better than the shocking units nowadays. Them things that curl a dog's hair like a French poodle. And
Yes.
and so I got sick and tired of whooping them dogs and trying to keep them off one another. So they was out there growling around Hackle there one day in the yard, and they knew better to fight with Daddy there, because we ain't raising fighting dogs, boys. I will not tolerate it. I can take the fight out of a dog, okay? All right. Well, so I went and got that 10-mile trash breaker, and I strapped the shocking unit on both them dogs. I turned it all the way up, and I said, get them, boys. Son, they piled in on each other. I shocked them dudes standing over the top of them, and they did, never slowed down. Never slowed. So I finally had to chunk the track of the shocking unit and get in the middle of it and get them off each other.
Lord
Well,
mercy.
I'll tell you, the old Bounce dog was such a dog that I had him on a runner out there at the house, and I had turned a dog loose, and he got down in the Holler tree down there below the house, trying to squirrel. Well, I was in the house, and old Bounce had that old bulldog high-pitched voice. Hi, hi. And I could hear him zing, 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 running up and down that runner, and he was just crying. You heard an old dog cry.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he just cried to go down there. And I walked out the front door, and I said, you lying sucker. I said, you don't want to throw that squirrel. Oh, Daddy, I do. And I thought, boy, against my better judgment, I turned him loose. Well, he sailed off down that holler, and he stood good to his promise. He hit that tree and barked twice and shut up. Well, I'm standing there in the yard, and I heard him shut up, and I thought, oh, crap. Well, I walked back in the house and got my 12-gauge pump. And the wife says, what are you doing? I said, I'm fixing to go get Bounce. And she said, well, where's he at? I said, I don't know, but I'll know here shortly. And I walked out there in the yard and listened. And about 3/4 of a mile away, I heard a stampede of cattle. Well, boys, two things that I don't tolerate is a dog working cattle that I didn't send him, okay? Because there were two things wrong with that. One is it wasn't my cattle, and the other is I didn't send him, all right? So I jumped the truck, drive down the county road, get to my neighbor's gate down there, and I just opened it, went through the gate. Well, Bounce has gathered about 75 head of the neighbor's non-dog broke cattle, and he's got them up bunch. Son, he's doing a jam-up dog job. Again, only problem with that, wasn't my cattle, I didn't send it. And I hollered at him across them cattle. And I said, Bounce, you better come here. And he stopped and looked at me with that old big bulldoggy smile like, ain't I doing a good job, Daddy? And he went right back to it. Now, boys, I ain't telling you I shot him with buckshot because I didn't. I shot him with birdshot, but I shot him right in the arse, buddy. And when I shot him, his butt hit the ground that was on fire, and he was dragging it across the ground, and he jumped up from there and went right back to working cattle. I hollered at him again. I said, you better come here. And now, boys, I don't go about with a shotgun training my dog. Don't get that wrong, okay? I mean, this is a very, very special case. And I don't need my neighbors killing my dogs because they're working their cattle undesirably, okay? And so I hollered at him again. And he didn't even stop that time. And I shot him again. Well, when I shot him that second time, he peeled out, come around that group of cattle, and come and heeled at my left boot, looked up at me. I said, kind of hurts, don't it? Well, from then on, old Bounce knew that it didn't matter how far out there he was, I could get him, okay? And talking about him, the dogs killing hogs, I took a pair of boys, young boys, 16-year-old boys that wanted to kill some hogs, took them hunting. Had Bounce and Duke with me. The first hog they caught was about probably a 225-pound European. All right. Well, they had him down, and you know, I got in there and got him off of him, killed the hog, and while we're, you know, it's a little bit warmer that day, and I got the hog, and we got to pack that thing out there, and I told them boys before we left, I said, now look, if you boys gonna go hog hunting with me, you're gonna do your part. You know, you're going to get to help carry some of this pork out of here. Oh, yeah, we will. All right. So while we're there, I didn't tie Bounce and Duke, and they left. Well, I told them boys, I said, we better hurry up. I said, why? They said, why? I said, because Bounce and Duke, they caught another hog. And they said, how do you know, Mr. Plummer? I said, because they ain't back. And and so I got my tracking unit, and I tracked, sure enough, over the mountain, pretty good piece out there far enough you couldn't have heard them, you know. And we come up on an old feral boar, black boar, and I guarantee you weighed 350 pounds. And he was all but dead, and Bounce was standing on him, shaking like a bowl of jello, like, didn't I do a good job, Daddy? He's standing on top of the hole, okay? and I look, and I think, well, where's Duke at? And I look back up that draw, and there lays Duke. And he looked like he'd run through a wood chipper. I mean, you couldn't have laid two fingers on that dog without touching the dog back, and he was in about as bad a shape as that boar hog was.
Lord mercy.
And what had happened was they got together, you know, killed that boar hog, and then they got possessive of it and tried to claim it.
That's right.
Well, that Bounce hog just have enough lead in his pencil to handle that bounce dog. That Duke dog didn't have enough lead in his pencil to handle that bounce dog. And I looked at him, he's still breathing, and I said, well, maybe this teach you a lesson. but now, boys, that mouse dog was a T-Rex for a fact. But and I think Jeron could attest to that. But anyway.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you that Shadow, Buddy, Bounce, Tough, Bear, that was a different group of dogs right there. Like I said, that Audrey Jip, that's another one of them hindsight things. If I'd have known what I know now, between her and her nephew Jade, which, Jade, he had a good day. He was a pup out of that Tough dog and my Black Betty Jip, which is a litter mate for that Firefly dog. I got a dog, still same dog here today. Well, I'm running down the highway about 60 miles an hour, and we make a turn, and I see one of the doors is swinging on my dog trailer. Well, I pull over, and everybody's in there except for Jade. Well, I shut it, and I'm starting to turn around thinking the worst, Well, I don't even get turned around, and here that sucker comes running down the highway, right down the yellow line as hard as he can go. Marc on him, He jumped out of that dog box 60 mile an hour, rolled down the highway, and just thought he was going to chase my truck then.
Man.
Well, we loaded him up. We went hog hunting that day, killed several hogs, and we get on a big old sounder of pigs, and running through a bunch of cattails and that old swamp grass. And as I'm running through there, I look down to my right, and there lays that Jade dog, and he just got about a 7-inch cut in his chest. And I look over there, and I'm thinking, man, what a bad day. Because I'm thinking he's dead. We run on up there and catch the hog in the water, get it killed, drag it out. And about the time we're dragging that thing out of the water, this old slough bed, bunch of duckweed, cattails. Here comes old Jade, comes blowing in there, bleeding. He catches that hog by the ear for me trying to drag it out. I'm like, what the heck? that poor dog, man. You know how an old beaver cut, you're from them bottoms.
Oh, yeah.
The old beaver got that. Well, I guess he had been chasing that pig and straddled one of them beaver cuts, and that beaver cut's what laid his chest open, which, thank God, it was mostly hide, just a little bit of meat. But he hit it so hard in his chest, it just knocked the wind out of it,
Man.
Well,
that dog lived a couple more years, and then he got hurt real bad. But Raymond and I was hunting up. This is a heck of a hunt too. Raymond and I was hunting up there, old fox pen. That was in Missouri, was it not, Raymond?
Yeah, up very close. It was the Shell Knob fox pen.
Yeah, I got my smooth dog killed that day. He was a half Catahoula, quarter Rhodesian Ridgeback, quarter Plot dog, a bad man, son. And but first days that we'd ever seen Joe and Blue Boy both get cut by a big boar hog. I got cut that day. I mean, I bled my boot full going home at night. It was just a bad day.
Sounds like a bad day.
I got my copper dog cut down. I got my Jade dog cut down, and I lost my smooth dog. And on the way home, I bought a pup. Well, we'd already decided that before I come up. I bought the little sunshine dog that I brought up earlier out of Dottie, Rambo, and Tiger. So I did come home with a puppy and one good dog, and everybody else was all messed up.
Hey, boys, let me tell you another side of that story. We had caught 3 good boar hogs.
That was the day I crawled in the cave and got all these front teeth. I got my front teeth chipped. I got proof, and about a 4 scar on my hand and a scar on top of my head because Chili Pepper was out of Blue Boy and Cameron, which Cameron was out of Blue Boy and Firefly. So we had a little line breeding going on there.
Damn, Blue Boy's producer, huh?
Oh, he was. Yeah.
That Blue Boy dog was the man, son. But I crawled in that cave with one of them little big. There was a boy named what was that guy?
Tom Stevens.
Tom, yeah.
Yeah.
He had a little LED light in his backpack. Well, I crawled up in that cave with that LED light in my mouth and my pick-sticking knife out. Well, that hog spun around and seen me, and he hit that light right. He hit me right in the mouth. That's what chipped all my teeth. And I went Edward Scissorhands on him. Man, Chili Pepper, Sunshine, Sassy Jip. She was half Catahoula and half of English Red Tick. But we come dragging him out on a dog lead, which Raymond was laughing. Tom is like, I don't know. He at that point, Tom didn't know what to think about me, but Raymond was used to it by that time. But man, we got on another big old boar, a big old.
Hey, whoa! Before you get there, we killed 3 boar hogs. Me and Jeron was running down the mountain. Now these old boys had went down to Texas on one of them can hunts.
Oh yeah.
And they invited me to go. And I said, look, boys, I care nothing about going down there on one of them can hunts in Texas. They said, we thought you was a hog hunter. I said, well, I deem myself to be so. I said, but I wouldn't set a deer stand 5 minutes to shoot a hog. I said, if he ain't got a dog throwing slobber in his face, I care nothing about it. And so they went on down there and shot some pigs. Well, when they got back, I thought, well, I'll invite them on a real hog hunt,
Mm-hmm.
So we go. And Jeron comes over. Well, we made them first 3 boar hogs. There was a little old group of them together, 3 boar hogs, and they was made up against a bench, about a 4-foot bench. Well, we're in the mountains, and so me and Jerome's running down the mountain. Now, my feet ain't hardly touching the ground. And Jerome's moving fast. He can't stop when he gets to the hog bay. And he absolutely clears the hogs and the dogs running down the mountain, jumps over the top of it, okay? And when that happened, poof, a hog spread. That's when the one went in the cave, one went one way, one went another, and all that. We got all 3 of them. We killed all 3 of them hogs. And we'd done it by 10:30. Well, I told, and them boys were like, wow, man, we ain't never seen nothing like this in our life, Well, we get back up. We're within easy shot back to the truck. I said, man, this has been a great hunt. I said, 10:30 in the morning, 3 good boar hogs. Man, it don't get any better than this. And I looked around, and I said, wait. I said, anybody seen that blue boy dog? And Tom said, yeah, I seen him go over that hill right there a while ago. And Jeron and I both knew what that meant. And I said, oh, no. And we lean, now, guys, lean into the wind in them old mountains. And you could just barely think you heard a dog. And I said, crap, he's got another one. Well, and it was probably, I don't know, Jeron, probably 2 miles back over there to where he had a hog laid. It was the one Jeron talking about, cut his smooth dog and cut him. Well, Tim Stewart was with us, and Tim was video, okay? And so Tim, he hadn't been hunting with us long, and so he was just kind of learning the game at the time, and he had one of them old big camcorders.
I will cut you off and say this: Tim is a real dog man, but maybe not the hog hunting Catahoula dog man. Tim Stewart's a real good dog man. But anyway,
oh yeah. 100%.
I would just let whoever's listening know that man.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
He's the real deal. He's the super dog. He's a good dog man.
Yeah, he's not a greenhorn when it comes to dogs. He's just getting into the hog hunt.
What year was this taking place, y'all?
Well, what you're saying is he was in his prime. He's 69 years old. I get him in trouble the other day about how old he was, and he was a.
That was probably
a hell of a dog man back in the day.
What was that, about 05 or somewhere in there, Jeron?
Oh, I can pull a notebook real quick.
Yeah, Jeron got notebooks. He got notes on all this stuff. He documents, okay?
Good deal.
Well, what happened was we made this boar hog, and he was a listed hog, okay? Mm-hmm. And he was north of 300, I figured. I don't know, right in there. He was a big, heavy hog. And the dogs was up on this bench, about a 4-foot bench, and then it went back probably 15 yards, and then it went about a 30-foot bluff right there, straight up bluff, chain bluff. Well, there's a baying him there, and that dog jumped out, and he cut one nut out of that Jade dog.
Yep.
Old Jade whirled to run, and that hog run his nose between that dog's legs, and when he come out, he come away with one of his balls, and the other one was on the cord dragging the ground. Okay, well, I took that dog out. Then he hit another one, that smooth dog of Jerome's, and gutted him. All right. Well, I had 3 dogs in there. Was that Miss Audrey dog, and I forget now if it was Joe or Tiger, and then the Blue Boy dog. All right. Well, Jerome says, and we're standing below that bluff in Tim's video. All right. And Jerome says, Plummer, let's either catch them dogs or kill that hog. He said he's putting us out of the business.
Well, let me refrain. Them same old boys, we was trying to let them old boys kill this pig, and that might have been about 50% or more of a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, if we'd have just went in there and done what I wanted to do,
yeah.
And especially now, not to integrate, but we'll get back to this. Everybody's got time. You know, the different dog packs I run now versus what I run then. But if we hadn't been trying to get them other guys to do the deed, we wouldn't have got beat up so bad.
Well,
yes,
so I told Jerome, I said, let's catch the dogs, because I did not want to pack hog meat out for 2 miles back to the Ozark Mountains when we had 3 more boars already, you know, over close. So I said, let's catch the dogs. Well, the hog breaks to our right, running down that bluff line. Well, Jerome, I'm sucking the T-shirt off of his back as he's running down there after the dogs in the hog. All right. Well, that hog turns around and comes back through my dogs like a torpedo coming at us. Well, I went up that bluff like a cat squirrel, buddy. I'm holding on to nothing. Jerome, now I'm gonna give him a little credence here. He's from the flatland, and you don't run downhill on a hog, bud. You just can't. And he jumped off that 4-foot bluff or bench, and he's got, now Jerome's tall. What are you, 6'2", Jerome?
Yeah, I'm 6'2".
All right. So he's got them.
But hey, listen, guys, I had a plan. There was a really big bushy cedar tree right there, and I knew I can't outrun them. I mean, I raise them and still raise them to this day. I got a nice batch of full-blood Europeans. But this hog's chasing me downhill, and I'm going to get down to this tree. I'm going to swing around this tree. He's going to blow on down the hill. Well, about the time that I got a hold of the top of that tree to do my swing, he hit me in the ass. And I had 5 layers of clothes on, counting my underwear. And the next thing I knew, me and that tree were like the number 11. We was like stretched plumb out in the air.
Hey, Jerome went about 8 foot in the air hanging on to that cedar tree, okay? and he landed in a sack of himself, okay? And I turned that bluff loose, run down there and caught him, and I raised him up, and I said, boy, you all right? And he's holding his nads. And I said, oh, no. I seen what that dog or that hog done to old Gage, you know, cutting that ball out of him and cutting those smooth. And here he is holding through Carhartt coveralls, holding his manhood. All right. He turns the pressure loose and blood runs out. And I said, oh my God. Oh my God. I said, you've got a femoral artery in there. I said, you could bleed out. And I looked at him and I said, you get that on video? He said, Lord, no. He said, if I'd have got that on video, my wife would never let my kids come hunting.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Tim, I love him to death, but he's a sorry cameraman because we made the biggest board ever in Blacktonburg, Arkansas one time. And we had the beautiful bay, and we got the hog killed, and he had the damn lens on the video camera.
So I told Tim, I said, look here.
Sometimes, I'm going to say this, the excitement sometimes overwhelmed him. That's what happened.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah.
Well, hey, I told Tim, I said, look at here. You stay with Jerome. I said, because I don't want him bleeding out. We got to make sure he gets safely back to Cook because, you know, I didn't know at the time whether or not he had got it femoral cut. And at that time, obviously, I didn't ask him, did he get his business cut, you know, but it was just below that. All right. Well, I said, I'm going to go and kill that hog. Well, I run down the mountain up the other side, Blue Boy bays him again. Well, buddy, I call old Blue Boy off of anything, but I had never tried to call him off a hog bait. Just never had, you know, because it's dangerous if they look away. I mean, you know, but I still thinking I don't want to kill this hog because I don't want to pack him out. And so I called Blue Boy, and when he looked at me, like, what? that flipping hog hit him and rammed him up against a tree. And son, I come out with that pistol and I shot that hog right between the eyeballs. You can see the hole. I mean, it's like slow motion. And old Tom Stevens is a big old boy. He's probably wide as me and Jerome standing together shoulder wise. And he said, and old hog's head goes round and round, and he takes off running. Well, Jerome, old Tom says, Plummer, you shot that hog right between the eyes, and he just run off. I said, now let's go kill him. And I run down there and killed the hog. Well, when I come back, Jerome's stuck in the guts back in old Smooth. And he looks up at me and he said, well, by God, Plummer, he said, I know what you think of me. And I said, honest to God, I didn't know what he was talking about. I said, what do you mean, bro? He said, look, that hog nutted one of my dogs. You didn't shoot him. He gutted one of my dogs. You didn't shoot him. He cut me, and you didn't shoot him. He said, but by God, he cut that blue boy dog, and you shot him quick. Yeah. And I said, look, bro.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
I said, good hunting partners are dime a dozen. Good hog dogs are hard to find.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. Honestly, nowadays, both is hard to find. But, hey, Raymond, look here. That was January the 13th, 2003.
Oh, 03. Okay. 03. Okay. Yep. There you go. Yep. But, Lord, boys, we've had a lot of fun. Now, Jerome mentioned that old shadow bitch of mine. Now, boys, she was a freak of nature. She was a big old tall catahoula bitch, just muscle. That's what she was. And I raised game bred bulldogs that can break bones. I did. You know, I'll confess. You know, I'm repentant. I'm saved now. We don't do that anymore. But I've seen some sure enough hard bites on a dog. But I'm gonna tell you right now, the hardest biting dog I've ever seen in my life was that Shadow bitch. She killed hogs on the regular, and you didn't watch Shadow Bay hogs. If you heard her bark, you better get there, because what she's going to do is pick her one out, if it's a sounder, and she's going to kill it, and she would eat the tenderloins out of that hole before you could get there. And if you didn't get there fast enough, she'd eat both tenderloins, and then she'd start on the ham. And that's a matter of fact. And I caught a red boar hog one time in a pond, all right? And he was red as an Arkansas Razorback. Well, Jerome knows we got a buddy over at Prairie Grove, Arkansas, named Bobby Morlock. He owns Hog Land Taxidermy. All right. Well, he mounts hogs for the University of Arkansas, you know, because their mascot is the Arkansas Razorback. All right. Well, and Bobby's good. He does the best, most realistic hog mount I've ever seen anywhere. I mean, the man is an artist. Okay. But he likes those, sure enough, red Razorbacks. Well, this hog, boys, he's red as a crayon, buddy. He's red. Now, he ain't buff colored. He ain't yellow. He's red. All right. Well, I had 4 dogs on him in that pond. I had Blue Boy, Tiger, and Joe, and that Shadow bitch. All right. Well, I see that he's hooking the dogs, and the dogs is going under. The dogs is getting on him, and he's going under. And y'all bait hogs in the water, I know. And it can be dangerous for your dogs, you know. And I'm thinking, well, there ain't no good end to this. He's either going to kill one of my dogs out there, or they're going to drown him in that pond, and I ain't going to get him. You know, and I want that red hog. Well, I had my oldest daughter and my oldest son with me. All right. Well, I dive in that pond, and I swim out there, and I catch that hog by the hair of the back. And when I caught him by the hair of the back, I pointed him toward the bank. He didn't have no choice. He had to swim or drown. And so he swims toward the bank, back toward my kids over there, you know. And I get in chest deep water, and I got this dude by the hair of the back, and he's bouncing off the bottom of the pond and shooting up like a rocket, just like up and down. And I'm holding him by the, and I'm having to beat dogs and try to hold this 4 hog at the same time. And so I got the 3 dogs out of the water, and I told my boy, I said he had 3 snap dog baits, and that was a fault on my behalf, guys. I had 4 dogs, and I had 3 snap dog baits. All right. He snaps all 3 of them dogs. Well, they're dragging him down the mountain back toward that water, trying to get to the hog. And he said, Dad, I can't hold him. And I'm about to get, you know, a little on the excited side. We'll call it that. And I said, son, wrap that chain around a tree, a sapling, and hold him. And he does. He wraps around. and he held the 3 dogs. But I still got Shadow swimming around me like a stinking crocodile, taking every bite she can out of that hog. All right. Well, I'm hitting her. I'm holding that hog with my right hand or left hand, and I'm hitting her with my left. Well, now, boys, I ain't superhuman, but you don't want me hitting you, okay? I'm just gonna tell you. and so she's taking a real beating here, but she ain't quitting. All right. So finally, she hits the bank and runs up that bank, and it's a mountain, it's steep, and she runs up that bank, and I think, well, praise God, she quit. Oh no, she just strategized. She whirls around and she comes back like a lab after a duck retrieval, like a dock diving dog. And she jumps. Whew. Well, the boar was slipping out of my hands in that hair, so I grabbed him by the ear. Well, guess what she's gonna get?
Mm-hmm.
When she come off of that bank, buddy, and I'm still 10 feet in the water out there. She jumped far enough. When she caught that hog's left ear, she broke my hand. Oh my God, boys! I still got scars all over it today, and my knuckles still pop. I think about her every day. She ripped my hand off of that boar hog, and when she did, I looked at her because she had pulled me away. My hand, I still had the hog with my right hand, and I looked at her, and she said, "Oh crap!" And she turned Daddy loose, and out of that pond she come. Well, my daughter, like I told you, she's tough. I said, "You catch that bitch and don't you turn her loose." Well, she had a cup collar on, but Kendra throwed a scissor lock on that dog in the edge of that water. And she's choking her out in the edge of that water. She said, "Dad, I'm killing her. And of course, I'm holding my arm up out of the water red, from my hand being, my fingers is all pointed different directions, broke up, And I looked at her and I said, "You kill that bitch, but don't you turn her loose." Well, I managed to get that boar hog one-handed out of that pond and tied him. Well, boys, now, hey, I'm old now, but there was a day when I was a pretty stout old lad, and I managed to I got my truck down there, and I got that hog hoisted up into the back of that truck. Well, when I shut the tailgate, I told Kendra, I said, "Turn her loose." She said, and she done got, pretty upset. And she said, "Dad, she's going to kill that hog. She's going to get you. She's going to kill that." I said, "You turn that bitch loose. I can handle her now." And when she turned her loose, that shadow dog run and launched herself over the back of that truck. And when she did, son, I hit her in the nose, and I flipped her back off into the, in the grass out there. That didn't stop her. 3 times she jumped over that tailgate, and we knocked her. And she decided she could run around that truck and bait that hog on the outside. But oh my God, boy, that
old shadow, that shadow dog and all them, they had some true grit in them, buddy. They was pretty good old dogs, buddy.
They was.
I say we. I had the old Vegas and Jade and that batch, but we probably should have concentrated a little bit harder on that batch than we did the others. But hey, hindsight,
Oh, we still got a little of that old blood flowing through them, but some of them old like Bounce and Shadow and Tough and some of them, yeah. Those are something
this Red Rock dog I had, he's got some of that stuff on both sides, but he wasn't socialized as a puppy, so I have to be really careful with old Red Rock,
Hey boys, I know we're getting kind of deep in this podcast here, but I didn't want to get off.
You do what you want to do.
Hey, I didn't want to get off here without Jeron talking to you because he's kind of shifted gears, and I understand it. I ain't following him down that path, but I do understand it. He has kind of got into the speed dog deal. Jeron, tell him a little bit.
Well, here's the deal, guys. I mean, I don't care how bad your half hound is or your hound is. I mean, I hunt with some boys in Missouri too, and they're old fox hunters, and they love listening to the race, and I get it, but I'm not listening to no 6 or 8 hour race without wanting to kill something. I'm more the murder side of the deal, and those guys are just running with them hounds. And matter of fact, I sent an old dog up there. He was half English redneck and half white. And he ran a 22-mile race one day, swam Leavenport River 3 times. And they finally got some pit bull and pit bull county dog mixes to him and got the hog. And, they were just happy as ever. Well, I'd have been so, me, I'd have been so angry after that. I couldn't have been able to handle that,
Mm-hmm.
Well, about 2006, 2007, I'd been hog hunting 10, 12 years, 12, 14 years. We was getting outrun some. Of course, it was mainly a lot of my fault, because, they're full-blood European pigs, and that's all that we had up here. We just get smoked, a gritty dog missed a catch, and all them guys that have pit bulls, they'll be first to tell you. There's been a time their pit bull missed, and that was the last time I ever seen that hog.
Yes, sir.
And I just can't do that. If I go, I want to come home with something. Now it's a sport, and I enjoy it, and I enjoy the race and the bay and all that. But I don't want to be beat either.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was getting outrun. It got to where it was a regular basis. Because here's what happened: when those hogs outrun a dog, same back to the conditioning of the wild turkey and a dog and everything else. They learn that from the baby pig. If they outrun everybody, they get away.
Yep.
Well, guess what? You're gonna have, if you continue to run them dogs, and them hogs run and run and run and get away from the dog, that whole pack of hogs is going to become a pack of runners. They're going to grow up into a pack of hogs that if they hear a dog bark, the race is on, and now you're in a run.
Mm-hmm.
These boys in Northwest Arkansas, which I'm not going to name any of them, but I know a bunch of them old boys run a bunch of hounds, and they love hunting with hounds. But they have a lot of long races. If they like that, that's fine. But I'm not a long race guy, and plus I live in a different part of the world. If I have a long race, I'm trespassing.
Oh yeah.
Now there's enough people know me that I can kind of get out of that. As long as I'm killing pigs, they don't get too sideways about it. But I wear a life jacket and a flotation device when I hog hunt, because it's nothing for me to swim Black River if I'm going with a pack of dogs. And that's what I have to do. Now, we put a boat in the river sometimes we don't, but we started getting outdone a whole lot, and I started getting into greyhound business, which was back in the old Lewis Minor days.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea what his friend's name was, but I wound up taking about 20 head of racetrack greyhounds from that man, and they come with stipulations, which I understood all of them. We will not discuss them, but anyway, I run those dogs, and all of them would pursue a running pig. Every one of those racetrack greyhounds would pursue a running pig. Now, when that pig stopped, some of them would be like, well, whatever, this is boring. Some of them would back way up and bull rush the pig to try to make him run again. And some of them would try to catch. Well, that's all I had to work on at the time. And I didn't know about coyote dogs or stag hounds or wolf hounds. I really hadn't educated myself in that part of the world. I was ignorant of it, uneducated of that world. Well, Lewis Minor and I was talking this over, and he was an old man. He was from Brownsville, Texas. A man full of knowledge. He'd forgot more stuff than most people ever know. And I miss him to this day, just like my daddy. He was a very smart, intelligent man. A very a biblical, Jesus following man. You couldn't beat the guy. He was a good dude. But we started staring up these dogs that we thought was going to run the race and catch hogs. Well, so my first batch was half racetrack greyhound, a quarter Rhodesian Ridgeback, and a quarter pit bull. And son, there's a lot of them laid by the roadside because they was violently badass, but they just didn't have the bone structure for it. Well, in 2012, I come by this gyp. I'm out of Nebraska. She was a half Borzo, half Greyhound. And I bred her to one of those half Greyhound, quarter pit, quarter Rhodesian. That whole litter and the next whole litter, as I bred her back to her son, that the next two litters was nothing but blowing and going, running catch dog. Don't hear any barking. Big boar hogs didn't set the chance. That's what I have today. My son has all the fine dogs. I've got some Catahoula dogs left, but my son has the fine dogs, and I've got 13 head at the present time of what I call my speed dogs. Now,
hey, let me interject. There is about an 8 Catahoula, enough that about half of his dogs is leopard spotted with cracks in their eyes.
Well, I mean, I've got three males. That's a 8th Catahoula, and I have another 4-pack of young dogs. That is an 8th Catahoula dog.
Now, Joey, that dog you got from Larry Lumen comes from McDonial. You talking to the man that raised and fed that dog?
No. It depends on which one you got. Now there was a big yellow.
That's him, big yellow dog. We called him Harry.
All right. Well, now he come from a different man than me. That's my Oklahoma guy.
Yeah.
You know, you can't beat a better man than Mr. David. He chases cows. They like the dark. He's a coyote man. And me and him still stay in touch today. And you know, his daughter has that Cash dog. I don't know if you keep up with the Oklahoma Blood Trader bunch. But you can look them up. You know, Miss Brittany's got that Cash dog. She had the Mo dog before that.
She named him Cash Money.
And the Saskawea gyp, I sent her down there to breed to Cash. I got 2 pups back out of that, and you know, Miss Saskawea, she was the old Vegas Rooster, JD, Firefly. You know, she was all the old breeding of that stuff. And she blood trails a lot of deer and still catches a lot of deer this day. But now if you got the Harry dog, now he was that's a David Gardner dog. He's not. He was
a good dog. He was. He actually ran himself absolutely to death this past summer. I mean, on the hog. First time I turned him loose here in the mountains where we live at, in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. I said, well, I'll let him run around right here and just, you know, stretch out a little bit, blah, blah, blah. 1.21 miles later, I had him, and it looked like, there's a guy, we put a video up, and it was his property. And I believe he caught, what did Mark say it was? It looked like he went through there and shit whipped every pig that was in the county, because it was just a trail of blood down the creek. And Harry was red. And I said, well, boys, I think he'll work. And that was the first time that I ever turned him loose. And I'm telling you, we carried him to Texas, and it was real hot, bad hot. And we could not, we couldn't catch him. He heat stroked. And like when I say we couldn't catch him, we were running them little cut through roads or senderos or whatever you call it. Thank God we were in a 4,000 acre high fence, or he would have, ain't no telling where he would have wound up. But like, I ain't seen much like it. Like you said, I've had a lot of run and catch dogs over the years, and I've had some that I really liked. I liked him. I liked everything about him. He was tall. He was leggy. He had pretty good bone structure. He could take a beating. He could catch the hog and make the hog go where he wanted it to go, instead of the hog dragging him around. He was fast, and he could find a hog.
Yeah, that's the wolfhound in him. wolfhounds get enough nose that if they lose them in high grass, and that's why I'm fixing to do a nice sweet little cross here just for me. You know, thanks to Mr. Raymond Plummer, you know, a dog he picked up down there last time he's Uncle Earl's, I believe. Maybe it was 2 years ago, or who knows how long. I can't, you know, time gets away from us. But I've got a wire-haired pointer here that my son runs. We call him Buzzy George. Old Buzzy is a hog hunting son of a gun.
Mm-hmm.
And
He full-blooded?
AKC.
No,
Hey, listen, he's registered, dog. When I was at Uncle Earl's, and there was this I had some pups, all right? And I'd sold them all. I had this one couple that kept coming up there, and God bless them. You know, just from my perception, they poor folks, and that's nothing wrong. That's good people, all right.
Shit, I'm poor folks. I'm poor folks, Raymond.
Well, me too. Absolutely, I identify as that.
I'm rich. I'm rich in a lot of ways. Money, I'm kind of poor folks.
Well, yeah, I understand, but anyway, they wanted a pup from me, and they just didn't have the money. And they come up there 2 or 3 times, want that pup, and they was just mulling it over. And they had some dogs down there on Dog Trading Hill over at Uncle Earl's, and I know y'all know about that.
Oh yeah.
All right. And so they had some dogs themselves that they were trying to sell. And they said, Mr. Plummer, if we can sell our dogs, we'll buy your puppy. Well, it was the last day, and I had one pup left, and they come up there and they said, Mr. Plummer, would you trade us for that puppy? Well, boys, I really, honest to God, I'd probably just give it to them, really, you know, because I mean, at that point, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Well, I'm glad you did.
I said, what have you got? And what you say, Jerome?
I'm glad you didn't.
Oh, well, what happened was I said, what have you got down there? They said, well, come on down here and look. And they had 2. They had some other dogs, but they had 2 registered German short-haired pointers, all right, or wire-haired pointers.
Wire-haired pointers.
Yeah, wire-haired pointers, all right. And one of them was probably a 2 or 3 old dog, and then they had this. What was he? Drove 9, 10 months old, something maybe.
Man, I've got his papers. I didn't bring him up.
I think he was 10 months old. I looked at him.
Yeah, he's.
While I was there.
You did?
Yeah,
Okay.
Actually, I did. I'm a fan of the wire-haired dogs.
But I've got a black roan. We got a black roan German short-hair pointer male and a fuzzy George dog.
Well,
they bad men.
Yeah,
When
I like them. They good.
I went down there, and I had no need or desire for a pointer dog. I mean, I'm a Catahoula man, and Drum knows that. Everybody knows that. That's all I feed. I ain't never gonna feed nothing else. When God calls me home, I'll be feeding Catahoula dogs. All right. Well, so I looked and I said, "Is that pup registered?" They said, "Yes, he is." I said, "Would you trade for that pup?" They said, "Oh, sure, absolutely." I said, "All right." But I had no intention of keeping that dog. Matter of fact, on my drive back home, I called Jeron McDonial and I said, "You meet me in Little Rock. I've got something for you." And he
Conway. We wound up meeting Conway because I wouldn't do Little Rock.
Right. Well,
I bargained with him. I bargained with him like I always do.
Oh yeah. He, you can offer him something for free, and he's gonna want it free or somewhere.
Hey, you know what? Hey, if your best friend won't do that to you, then what do you expect from everybody else?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
God dang.
But he met me over there, and I passed him off. I give him that Buzzy. He named him Buzzy George, and he likes him, and I'm glad he does. So
the best group of running catch dogs that we've had have been wire-hair pointer or draught, the Druthar, which is very very close. Crossed with a pit, a game dog that's out of game blood. We've done 50-50 crosses, and then we've also done the draught, pit, cross to a jag, and Airedale cross. And those were nothing but land sharks. They weren't as fast as I really would have liked them to be, but they were fast enough. We had the same issue, like we were losing races over and over. And now I've got cur dogs that'll stay in there as long as you want them to. and I have one hound, and it's a running walker, and he'll stay there as long as he needs to stay there. Sometimes we do have longer races. There's places over here, like Raymond was saying earlier, like if I'm not going to pack a hog out, I'm not worried about killing it. So there are times where we'll have people come hunt with us, and we'll just take them and let the dogs run it. And we're educating these hogs in this specific area for that reason.
Well, see, I'm in farming country, so
Yeah.
I mean, I've got to show.
No, and I get it. Exactly, because the other places we got to show dead hogs when we go somewhere to the other places. This is our personal.
I had a guy call me this morning and turned me loose on about 4,000 acres starting Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to send pictures of evidence. You know.
Yeah.
He's not going to stop me from hunting, but he loves playing dead fish.
Oh yeah.
And he's a big rack fan. He likes seeing them big rack bucks,
mm-hmm.
and knows that my dogs don't chase a bunch of deer. I blood trail deer for him and his boys.
Yes, sir.
I don't do that for a lot of people anymore. We just so many things been going on. It's like Raymond talking about taking them guys on. I had a guy shoot himself one time while he was hog hunting. I had a guy climb a tree and had to go back and get him 2 hours later. Couldn't find him. I just quit taking people.
I understand.
But he
was still in the tree too. 2 hours later.
Damn.
Yeah, still up there because
one of the things
you remember Raymond. You remember Raymond? I wish I could remember which pack of dogs we had. But we walked down this. I know I'd love to have that boar hog today. We walked down this big old ridge, and there was a treetop fell down, but the leaves still on this oak tree, and those Catahoula dogs are circling that tree, and I bet you there was 30 head of hogs in it, and there was this beautiful red boar come out there.
I got a picture of that. I got a picture of that.
Send it to me. But we had this big old sounder of hogs bayed, and dogs circling. It was a beautiful sight, but people just doesn't understand what it's like to have, it's adrenaline rush to see that, to do that, man, them I just can't stand being. If I've no sea pigs, I mean, I love seeing them. I mean, I love them to death. I got a bunch of them right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't want to go hunting and not kill anything either.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that Jerome has excelled at with them speed dogs that he's got, and I've seen the difference in his dogs and other, one-off dogs. Okay, and here's what he really excels at. Is he raises them speed dogs, and they're lurchers is what they are. Okay, they're a mixture of Bourgeois and Wolfhound and just a touch of Catahoula in some of them. Some of them got some pit in them. Some of them got bird dog. Just a mixture of what he's bred up there. But now he calls them a 60-mile-an-hour dog.
Mm-hmm.
But now I will tell you this: what Jerome does is he raises them speed dogs in timber.
Yes.
And they learn to adapt and not run into timber and break their necks and stuff like that.
Amen.
I've been down in Texas where they got them dogs.
I've got my setup to where I turn these dogs loose. I got 40 acres separated and I don't have anything on. It's got foiler trails through it, but we logged it off. It's briar patches, little open fields, cedar tops. So I'm liable to turn loose 4 or 5 head of them things, and daylight or dark, just go on a walk. Well,
that's what got my interest right there. When Larry told me he started telling me about the way you run them in the timber, I said, now my ears are perked up, because that's the biggest downfall of the running dog in the thick woods.
Well, I mean, by the time they're 4 to 6 months old, I mean, they don't do a lot of time as puppies. 4 to 6 months old, they're just playing and romping with each other. Matter of fact, I turned 2 loose the other day. An 18-month-old Gyp and her older brother, old Stretch. Which Stretch is 7/8 and 1/8 Catahoula dog. Beautiful blue leg. Beautiful
One
blue
second,
leopard.
one second. If you boys ever need a dog name, call Jeron McDonial. 'Cause, I mean, you know, he's got it.
And I'm going to tell you a little something. The last pack of speed dogs, my beautiful little woman here I have, her granddaughter walked out with all them dogs one day, and she said, and she's like 3 at the time. She said, "What's this dog's name?" And I said, "Maybe 4." And she said, "Girl, he hasn't earned the name yet." So she named this whole pack of speed dogs after the Paw Patrol.
There you
So
go.
I have Stretch and Ryder, you know, it's all good.
That's right.
But old Stretch, and I turned old Stretch and little Red Flame out the back gate the other day to put some fresh straw and pine needles and stuff in their cage, and they didn't come back, and it didn't come back, and it didn't come back, and I'm like, man, so I start down the trail there, and a little female, she meets me coming back up the trail. Well, I get over there, and it's so funny because old Stretch, and I'm sure all of y'all seen it before as dog men. You ever seen a dog like stalk through tall grass or brush, and they're just walking real slow, letting the grass or stuff rake on their face?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Just get around, you know. Well, he would sneak through some cedar stuff, cedar boughs, cedar limbs, and then he would break out in the open field and let somebody just take off. And he'd run a big old loop, just sprint racing. But, I take them as young dogs, walk them down these briars. What I call terrain familiarization, because they're going to have to deal with that when they get out there in the real world.
That's right.
I let them figure out what ditches are about, creeks. We got a nice creek down here. My neighbor is nice enough to let me, run my dogs down there when his cattle ain't pastured. I take them down there. They buzz around this 200-acre field. They get in the creek on the gravel bar. I terrain train them. And I wish I could do all of that before I ever put them on anything. But you know what? Hey, we get on coons, possums, skunks. I even took 3 pups out one time with my older dogs, and there was a coyote out there in that field. One of them the young dogs run out there. Coyote jumped on it. Well, when that old dog got there, one of those there was those slick 50 at the time, which I don't have him anymore. He got killed on the highway. That's a bad day. But big old black brindle white collared dog. He got there. He caught the coyote. With everybody jumps on the coyote. But just terrain train them first. Then start putting them on game. Build their confidence up, and then not knock it down, but let them get the wind knocked out of them a few times. A lot of my speed dogs are 2 years old if I ever put them in combat. Because
I like a lot of the terminology that Jeron uses before I put him in combat.
Yeah.
He's got.
But I mean, honestly, dude. I mean, you put a dog out there, and he one of my biggest speed dog probably weighs 90 pounds. Well, this 90-pound dog is fixing to meet something that weighs 3 to 4 times its weight. And it's my job, if I'm a dog man, a real dog man, that real dog man is supposed to train that dog to be a soldier. He's supposed to show him all the things. I joined the Army at 17 years old. I went to Fort Benning, Georgia, and guess what? Lucky enough, I had some really awesome drill sergeants. We had those mean son of bitches, and we had those smart ones. They was all good guys. Don't get me wrong. They all trained. And, that's another thing. They all trained to do their psychological part.
Yes, sir.
So, they don't want to send a young man into combat to get shot and killed.
No.
They want him to be a successful soldier.
Mm-hmm.
So
my stepdad, he was a sergeant at Fort Benning.
What's that?
I said my stepdad, he was a master sergeant at Fort Benning.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
I was down there in 90 and 91, went to Central America in 92. You know, lot to learn right there.
Yes, sir.
All young men need to share. All young men need to do that. You know, they need to find out what it's about. You know.
Yeah, they do. I think you're right there.
But anyway, we back to the dogs there. I mean, we're training soldiers. I mean, whether you believe it or not, no matter what you're training, a bay dog, a run and catch dog, a lead in catch dog, we're training soldiers. They got to know. And if you fail to train that dog, it's your fault. As a dog man, it's your fault not to show him all the things you can show him before you send him out there in the woods. You know.
Well, you know, Jeron, in my Catahoula dogs, and I've took it on the chin a lot of times for bringing young pups on a hog hunt. And guys say, Plummer, why are you bringing them young dogs? I said, because I want them to get used to the environment that I'm going to expect them to operate in when they're grown. And I don't want to bring them, you know, when I'm hog hunting them and the first time and turn them to the woods and they look at it like a mule looking at a new gate. You know, I want them to be well adept in their environment. And that's exactly what you're talking about, you know.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Well, I mean, I had a bunch of young dogs run loose in my yard one day. It's the first day I met Tim Stewart. You know, well, the next day, Tim come up to look at some dogs, and I mean, I was trying to explain myself. Thank God he was a pit bull dog man, because I had three dead dogs laying on a trailer out here. That pumpkin boar, which Pumpkin is my baby, you know, 5 years old, full blood European, red straw colored, bananas out of your hand. You can scratch his belly and lay down. I mean, look at a 300-pound boar with 5-inch knives. But I was running back and forth with a four-wheeler putting out hay. It was cold, and Pumpkin got out. I'm bad, my fault. But he comes in my yard, and all the dogs run down there, and he put his ass against the pine tree, and he drawed the imaginary line. If that dog got past that line, he killed it. And I'm trying to get dogs caught. It was just a bad day, you know. 120% my. The next day, you know, Tim shows up. He's like, I'm like, it's honestly, this is embarrassing. As a dog trainer, as a dog person, this is embarrassing. Because I knew better. But I never dreamed he'd push out the gate, you know. I mean, I pulled it too, but I didn't tie it, you know. But him as a big old pet hog, he thought he was coming in the house to get a head of lettuce or a banana or whatever, you know. And that's my fault again, because instead of treating him like a boar hog, I treat him like a pet. You know?
Yes, sir.
It's like these people that treat big old bulls as their pets, and then the big old bull winds up killing them. You know,
Don't pet the bull.
Don't pet the bull.
Yeah. I mean, y'all understand, because y'all are silly ass country folk. Y'all lived with it, you know.
That's exactly. I had one of a real good dog last year got killed because it got out of the kennel and went and played with our pet boar, and he had 4.5s on him, and you know, my fault, some form or fashion. No matter how it happened, it's still my fault.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's why I've just, you know, I've come to the house. I mean, as a grown man, I've almost wanted to cry before. Said, man, what a day.
Hey,
you know,
Joey,
if you could whip your own ass, you'd want to. Right. You're like,
Joey, you said something that I think is crucial for anybody listening right now.
Yes, sir.
You know, there's so many people that want to blame the dog, blame the situation, instead of taking responsibility of yourself about what happened.
Yes, sir.
You know, because who initiated the whole process?
That's exactly. I took a hog that is, and this was a pet hog, but it's just like Jerome's talking about. I think he was 3/4 European and 1/4 mule foot, and he's a pretty bad boy, but he's great for us. You know what I mean? I didn't let him know he's a big boar hog. He's a pet. He's my buddy. Old Buford, you know. And so, and like I said, the kennel, Dog got out of the kennel some form or fashion. Don't know what happened. Come home and like she's done. No matter what, it's still my fault because of the whole situation. I took something, or I made that whole situation myself. I had the dog there and I had the hog there.
You created the situation.
Yes, I did. There's a guy that me and Nate know. There's quite a few old boys around here that know him. He's rough. Hey, listen, guys. We all talk about being rough and stuff. This one right here, buddy, he's one of them. He sent us a picture one morning. It's a pretty rough picture. And he said, and I quote, "A dog's going to be a dog." And there can never be truer words. And he's talking about himself.
Yeah, because he was doing some
He
rough
was a
stuff.
dog now, you know what I mean? But I that hit me. And I said, you know what? It don't matter. Like the past 3 or 4 days, we've had dogs. They get out of like you talking about, let them out of their kennels, change bedding or cleaning kennels, let them run around the yard. Sure enough, here they go down the pig pen or doing this or doing that. And they're just being dogs. Dog's going to be a dog. Don't blame that dog because of something that you're doing. If it aggravates you or makes you mad or pisses you off or whatever, it's just a dog. And you've done it. No matter what, it's your fault.
Well,
you're right, brother. Ain't no doubt about it, man. I mean, as a dog man, that's the first thing. It's like, well, I mean, it's everything. It's everything in life.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take responsibility for your own actions.
Yes, sir.
No matter what.
Absolutely.
We roll back, and I'm just going to bring it right quick because he's brought her up twice tonight. I mean, he's like, well, this girl's tough as a guy. Well, I mean, Miss Kendra had to grow up tough as a guy because, and this is 3 things, and Jeron McDonial will say this a million times. 3 things is what makes a person who they are. Their genetics, you can't fight it, like a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Their upbringing, just like a dog.
Right.
Well, a dog doesn't have any spiritual guidance, but maybe he does sometimes if you really look at it. But the upbringing, genetics, and spiritual guidance is what makes a human being what they are. So, you can't get angry at a human or a dog because unless you know what they went through
mm-hmm.
the time they started,
That's right.
Luckily enough, I mean, I had 2 awesome parents. I've got several friends. We talked about. Well, I got another friend. We talked about this the other night. We were so lucky to have the parents that we had.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Who would have known where we'd have been if we hadn't had 2 good parents?
Hey, Jeron, I've told people many times. I've told you. My dad was a freak of nature. Neanderthal, big, strong, like nobody would believe. I could tell you stories. You just absolutely think I was lying to you, but I've seen it, lived through it. I know it. I was in my mid-20s before I knew he actually walked on the ground like the rest of us. I thought he was superhuman, But I know this from talking to my dad after I got grown. If I hadn't had a daddy that I had, I'd either be dead right now or getting a strapping suntan in prison. Because I feared him more than I feared the law. And it wasn't that I didn't love him, but I had a respectful fear for my daddy. And I would rather face down a lawman with a gun than I had seen my dad show up.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you, man. I have a lot of people, like, they start talking about the stories, and I'm like, I said, one of the worst ass whippings that I ever took in my life. My dad come home from work one night, and my mom was cooking supper, and she laid the spoon down, and she started like rubbing her hands together. And my dad asked her, said, "Honey, what's wrong with your hands?" And she said, "Well, I busted a couple of blood veins in my hand." And she did. They was puffed out. Well, she busted them on my face.
Mm.
Well, I deserved it. I was a smart mouth little shit,
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
Mm-hmm.
When my daddy found out that my mother busted some blood veins in her hand on my face, I got an ass whipping.
There you go.
But you know what? that's why we have too many like slow memory, green haired, weird people that you can't talk to nowadays.
Yeah.
They needed a good ass whipping, is what they needed.
I don't think it hurt nobody.
No,
it didn't kill me. It saved my life.
Yeah.
It made me as I got older, especially after the Army, it made me love my daddy more than I loved him before. If that was the possible.
Absolutely.
My dad and I, we quail hunted together, we tree dogged together, we waded creeks and caught smallmouth bass together.
Wow.
I mean, I miss him. Oh, I miss him.
Joey,
Yes.
we're pushing this a little long, brother.
Yeah, I was figuring to say where we're at. We're at 2 hours now. So, hey, listen, I'm riding along with y'all. You're the boss, Raymond. I don't care, buddy. But no, I mean, like I said, whatever you want to do, we can we can do another segment on the next time and just pick up where we leave off here and save some for the next one.
Oh, we can.
Whatever you want to do.
I'm gonna promise you this. Myself and
It's
Jeron
only 9:30, old man. I mean, really.
Easy.
I mean,
Hey, listen.
it's only 9:30.
Listen to this without amount of time. So let's go ahead and call this, and we may do another together like that. I will tell you that there is no limit to the amount of real knowledge that Jeron and you and Nate B could bring to bear.
Don't put me in there.
Oh, brother, I know better.
Well, I appreciate that.
You boys' last name right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Well, y'all boys need to come up some weekend. I'll try to get something together. Raymond, give you my phone number.
Yes, sir.
You look at some speed dogs. We can we can have a good talk.
I'd like to look at those European hogs.
We don't but I'll show you some beautiful European piggy.
Yeah, listen, I'm a lunatic over that.
Hey, there's a whole
crazy.
podcast on it right there. There's a whole podcast on the history of all that.
There we go.
1996, me and old boy bought some hogs from the Little Rock Zoo, and also got some hogs from a boy up there, which Plummer put me on him, Mr. John Paul Swearick, that had a shoot pen. I still got them. I mean,
wow.
I've lied, but bad that that boy that's on my Facebook page. He comes almost light colored, like a straw colored blonde. Just like I've done the same thing with the hogs. I have my dogs. I've got some line bred, inbred pigs. Mr. Steel Curl will bow up at the pen after you throw his corn over, and he'll hit the fence, want to whip your ass. We just don't know any better,
Yes.
And but I'm going to tell you guys, the hog hunting, dog hunting world, and we got to keep it alive because we're the last of the dog men.
Jerome, let me finish this section of this podcast with this right here. And my partner Larry Lumen. Oh my God, boys, he is salt of the earth, good as they come. I'm telling you, Larry Lumen. If he tells you the sky's falling, you better take cover, buddy, because it's coming. But he come up. We was going to do some advertising, and we are for Jake Luciano and the Uncle Earls and a bunch of the bays they do down there. We're going to do some advertising. We had a banner made. We're going to invest in some advertising with Jake and all that. But Larry Lumen told me, he said, Plummer, why don't we do this? He said, why don't we? Because they have down at the Earls, they have a bench show for the kids. And he said, why don't we sponsor the kids and buy the champion buckle and the reserve champion buckle and all the ribbon down below that? I said, that's an awesome idea. I called Jake. He said, we're also going to buy the buckle for the grand champion bench show for the adults as well. But the kids, boys, that's the next generation. If we don't get some kids excited about hog hunting, I won't be here to know it, but there ain't gonna be no dog hunt. There ain't gonna be no dog
That's right.
if we don't get these. And so when it comes to investing in the kids, I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're gonna do. So
amen. That's good. We appreciate y'all doing that too. We do. We appreciate that.
That's 110% correct. But something else we need to do, in my opinion, get you guys on some hunts together. We need to do some stuff. I'll sure enough try one together. You boys come down here, and
well, I tried to put them on the hunt down there.
He did. He did on that. That's a fact. And I was up there nailing shingles on like a lunatic. I'm just wearing it out. And I told Nate, I said, man, we get done with this Friday or Saturday. We get ready and ride on down there. We'll be there Tuesday, blah, blah, blah. And Raymond called, and this was on Tuesday. He called me, or Tuesday or Wednesday. He said, hey, what time y'all boys going to get there? I said, well, whatever time we talk about, blah, 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 you know. He said, all right, well, so-and-so's going to be there. Let y'all. I said, today? He said, yeah. I was like, oh, my Lord. I said, I had it wrote down for next week. He said, well, no, it's today. I said, oh, Lord. I was a whole week early. Oh, man, it was a mess.
I'm going to tell you guys, Raymond Plummer is the worst person in the world for planning. I'm going to tell you something.
Raymond,
he got you, buddy. He got you.
Shush. Hey, I'm fixing to bust him out right here. I work 5 days a week, so he calls me on a Tuesday night one night and says, hey, man, I got a punt going on down here. I'm going down there right now. And South Arkansas. I'm like, dude, I can't take off work at that quick a notice. I mean, he does it. And I told my buddy Tim, I said, I think he done it on purpose because he didn't want me to bring my dogs and outdo his dogs.
Oh, that's what it was.
Oh, no. You know, I've been going.
And Tim said, oh, I know it's right. You know, that's what happened.
Hey, listen, boys, I want this to be clear.
He's all stirred up now. Look at him.
I want this to be clear on the podcast, okay?
Yeah.
A lot of things I may be, but scared ain't one of them.
I hear you.
Okay?
Raymond, did you see the thing we had, the analytics we got the other day with top 10 podcast on the Buzzsprout platform, and we're in 79 countries, brother.
Well, awesome. That's awesome, buddy. That's awesome.
So everybody out there in the world's listening to you telling that now.
Well, hey, what to say, boys. I mean, you know, like I said, a lot of things I may be, but scared ain't one of them.
Amen.
And,
I'm going to tell you, you know, I've had people, you know, that get the catahoula dog or something from maybe years ago, which asked, well, you know that Raymond Plummer guy? And I said, yeah, I know it. I said, yeah, he's kind of arrogant, egotistic. Boy, they just jump in there on me. And I said, but I've known that man for 30 years. He's one of my best friends.
Yeah. Oh, man.
You know, and then they kind of get quiet like they had made me mad. You know, I'm like, you didn't make me mad. I said, I love the man to death. I said, hey, you know, there's a level of confidence and there's a level of arrogance.
That's right.
And if you're confident what you have, you can be arrogant.
That's a fact. That is a fact.
That's a fact. You know, and that's kind of where Raymond's at. I mean, that's another thing. I love catahoula dogs, but I'm gonna tell you something. I don't run long race. I don't care if it's a hound or a catahoula dog. If we're chasing that hog more than 30 minutes, something went wrong.
You won't catch him. I understand. I
mean, not only that, 30 minutes, dude. That dude's he's swimming rivers. He's on property we're not supposed to be on.
Yes, sir.
And that's why Jeron with his speed dog. Now, do I lose? Do I lose speed dogs? Absolutely. I got three speed dogs still last year, and I'm talking all three of them was 5 to 8 years old. They were bad son of a. But two of them, unfortunately, we got on one of them big old boar hogs in the Black River that had been run by a bunch of dogs. Not my dogs, but my dogs and somebody else's dogs. And my son killed him. And I get there. I said, what? You know, I got you know, a nice 5-year-old Jeep. Gone. You know, a double glass eyed, 3/4 stag, quarter Cahoola bitch. And she was a bad girl.
Mm.
And you know, and my boy's a lot softer than I am. You know, he's not as mean as Dad's daddy. And
He's twice the size of his daddy.
He says, Dad, I got her request good. I got her request good. That's what happened. He said, man, he run out there in that water, got about belly deep, a little over belly deep, turned around. He said, and ICs and Beamer and all them dogs swimming to him because they couldn't touch bottom and he could.
Oh,
And he knew that. And he knew that. And he said, before I could get a shot off, he said he bit that IC's Jip in the back and just picked her up and shook her like a rag doll. And that Jip weighed 62 pounds.
pretty good size dog.
But I mean, he said, I shot him far back trying to he said he turned her loose. He said, I shot the old boar again and killed him. But you know what? Them boar hogs learn just like, you know, just back to the conditioning thing.
Mm-hmm.
They are like everybody else do. You know?
That's right.
And that poor hog knew, if I can get this water and stand out here about half belly deep, the dogs are tripping to me, and I'll wake them up. Pedals in the stream, baby.
All right, boys. Hey, let's wind her down.
All right.
All right.
And hey, listen. Ain't many people will sit and listen to a 3 or 4 hour, you know, podcast. Now I know you and me, we can talk that long and we can tell the truth the whole time. But it ain't everybody cut the same cloth.
Well, I mean, it may be this Right Boy's decision on when the podcast in, but anyway.
Hey, listen. This is Raymond's segment. He's the boss on this one. I just co-hosting. I'm just kicking back.
It's only 9:30, boy. Hey, the guys, listen, he is a lot older than I am.
That's what it is.
Hey, listen up. Just like you talk about keeping them dogs conditioned. That's why this old man that looks like Santa Claus can still go, boys. Because I
conditioned.
Yeah,
get your rest.
And I'm going.
That's right.
Oh, easy now. Easy.
All right. We appreciate, we appreciate y'all getting on here with us. I mean, all the knowledge y'all share with us, the good stories. People out there in this world, they love listening to it. And Raymond's right. You know, after about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, we see the analytics and it kind of just falls off. So, I mean, like I said, we more than welcome. We can do a whole nother show. And hey, we just appreciate y'all taking time out of your life to do this with us.
Well,
I appreciate you guys. And hey, I'm going to tell you, I'll try to work on that. They'll want to listen for hours when I get done with y'all.
All right, that's fine.
But hey, you guys, no doubt the invite's still there. Y'all need to come up, look at some long-legged dogs. Nice Cahoola stuff.
All right. That sounds good to me.
Hey, you know, being I'm so old, well, you might want to get me a little saddle strap on one of them old big speed dogs you got over there, and I'll just ride him into
battle. You ride straight to battle.
Ride him into combat, baby.
There you go. Ride him into combat.
Guess what, Marine? We're not mechanized here, son.
Hey, I'll ride in with a K-bar clinched between my teeth, buddy.
We're not mechanized up in here. We're going foot soldier in, son.
All right. Well, hey, been good talking to you, and we'll do it again.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Plummer. Thank you, Mr. McDonial.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys, man.
All right. Y'all have a good night.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Wow, that was fun. Man, that was fun. You can tell they're really good friends, as much as a hard time they give each other. And that's that camaraderie we talk about, y'all. I have never talked to that man before. And it's just like once we got in the groove and got to talking, it just flows. And that's the way we all should be as hunters. You should be able to take a little trash talking, and you should be able to talk a little trash on the next part. You know what I'm saying? But it's all in good fun. Nobody's really trying to cut you down or nothing. And the message of like we were talking earlier, we don't know what message we're sending through this show until we get through with the show. The message that we were all discussing earlier was, basically take accountability for yourselves, for all your actions. Doesn't matter if it's just with the dogs and the hogs at your house. You're responsible for the properties that you upkeep. You're responsible for the image that you upkeep, the image that you put out there. You're also responsible for the image that you put out there and the persona that's not you. Always remember that. If that's not really you on social media, because you can be whoever you want to be. But in real life, people are going to know who you are. And sooner or later, it comes out, good or bad. So just keep those things in mind when you're doing this. Just be open and honest about everything. If somebody starts talking trash because you got a brindle dog, hey, laugh it off and talk about their colored dog. Whatever it takes, man. We can all get along. Hey, we appreciate y'all listening to us. Nate's been working his butt off already this year. We got some new things coming up. We ain't going to discuss a whole lot of them yet. We're just going to keep you hanging on the edge a little bit longer. But I will say 2026 definitely going to be, we're stepping it up another notch. So keep up with us if you can. We appreciate y'all. Till next time. See ya.
Thank you. Hope you enjoyed that episode. If there's anything or anyone you'd like to hear on the podcast, or if you'd like to come hunt with us, don't hesitate to contact us at dixiedoggers01@gmail.com.